Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Welcome back, everybody, to the SEN show. I'm the Mad Hatter. Nice to see you. Nice to be with you here on this Friday. It is winding down the end of 2019, everybody. Joining us, hot on the table, the R, the B to the 3. RB3 is here. There he is. Brett Sheridan, all by his lonesome. He's the champ. Look at him. He's the champ. And joins us once again with his hot takes, as always, Winston Marshall, the man, the myth, the legend.
What up?
How are you?
Hey, baby. My girl's watching this episode, so
nice.
Yeah, you SCHMOEBOT motherfuckers. I shouldn't have said that because I just unloaded.
No, it's true.
But it's fine. If it happens,
this isn't the first time, though, right? She saw the one with you and I.
Yeah.
Right.
She did. She saw that one because she was just like, man, y'all could talk. But it's like, I mean, what else are you gonna do? There's
very different
two of
show
us.
this time.
Yeah,
because she doesn't have the best. She didn't have the best reviewer on the
Oh
planet
my
on the
God,
show last
man.
time.
Oh
and,
my
and,
God.
and there he is. You'll be doing a review of 1917 as well as I will be doing one of 1917.
Okay.
I'm very excited to hear your take. I know you really enjoyed the film.
Oh God.
Yeah. Do you want to do a quick review of 1917 right now?
Well, I mean,
I'll do mine later.
It's probably one of the best films about 1917
Yeah,
that I've ever seen.
Right.
I liked it better than 1916.
True.
The prequel, and I'm super excited for 1918 to come out.
Me too. But what was your favorite part about 1917? Was it the overall scenery? Was it the animation? What was it?
It was it was all based upon like a group of kids that live in an orphanage,
Right.
and I didn't expect it to be a musical, but it was part musical.
Favorite song?
Favorite song in there was "I Wish I Could Afford Some Pants."
I remember that. That was my favorite as well.
Yeah,
I didn't like the way it cut out though at about 2.5 minutes because of all the what was it, the singing and the dancing. But then the building started
and
to
CG
animate.
seemed out of place for something from 1917. It was
Right.
it was a little heavy on the CG,
Right.
and some of the characters, just didn't fit.
What do you think about the directing team with the one? What was the lady and the dog? I think
Yeah.
were the directors.
The lady and the dog, the lady and the tramp, if you will. Yeah. Karen Mouskowitz.
Well, that's her nickname. That's her nickname.
Karen Mouskowitz and Jack Sternberg. It's their first time working together
Right.
since they did, of course, since they did 1916.
Yeah.
But again, I'm gonna give it.
Can I stop for a second? So someone just wrote, "Is it part musical?" Yes, it is.
Dude, the best part is I went back because I like to occasionally go back just to see what the live chat is since obviously I'm looking at it now. And someone was like, wait, is Brett really drunk?
Yeah.
Or is it a bit? It's like, no, Winston's drunk. Brett is fucking around.
Yeah. You're good. Goddard's watching the chat. If everybody wants to know about those damn time codes, don't worry. Goddard's doing it.
Hey, Goddard, if you missed it, at 3:55, Brett started his 1917 review.
True. All right, everybody. So not only did we get Brett's review of 1917, I'll give my review of it in just a little bit. I watched it last night. And obviously, if you tuned in, you saw the title of this episode, we're going to be doing a non-spoiler review of The Mandalorian Chapter 8, the season finale, directed by Taika Waititi. And I will also be doing a spoiler-heavy review after this show, maybe around the 12:15, 12:30 area. It depends on what time we end the show here today. Maybe end it a little early. Really depends on how many questions that we get from you guys. And the way you do that, you go to streamlabs.com/the or Super Chat. Keeps us here on the air. We do it in the Super Chat bot, whatever we call it, the SCHMOEBOT. There you go. The SCHMOEBOT is on right now, ladies and gentlemen.
We've called it the SCHMOEBOT from the beginning.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, the Super Chat.
That's her name.
No, you should
Super Chat.
The mouse doll. I don't know. Whatever.
It might be too hard to do that on the fly, everything. But I was like, you could put the SCHMOEBOT in the other chair and then just like have her sitting there.
Yeah,
I'll try.
Can you put her over there? Yes, but anyway, the SCHMOEBOT is on, ladies and gentlemen. You can interrupt the show. All you got to do there is go to streamlabs.com/theschmoedown. Very helpful to the show. We do not have sponsors on the show. We don't have anything except just us and you. So if you can go on over there and do streamlabs.com/the helps us out. We'll be getting to all your questions today. So much to talk about. The news itself pretty light today, but who gives a shit? Because the other thing I want to do maybe on Monday to give you enough time to watch one movie or so. We can do it. We can do a top 10 list on Monday. Are you here on Monday?
Yeah. What? The 31st is Tuesday, right?
It's Tuesday, so we'll do it.
I'm not Tuesday, but
probably gonna take Tuesday and Wednesday off.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah.
Well, because Tuesday I gotta fly back to Dallas for work. Wednesday I'm gonna be hungover as fuck.
Of course,
but
no. Tuesday and Wednesday
Friday.
probably take off, and then we come back on the 3rd and start all over again. But I think,
I'm sorry, I have an eyeglass appointment on Monday, so I won't be.
You're not gonna be here.
Oh man,
I'm sorry, man.
You son of a bitch. What goes into an eyeglass?
Well, it's like the standard vision test, right?
Vision
you gotta make
test.
sure your eyes hasn't changed.
You know,
Got
Just like
dye
mine.
my eyeballs a certain color.
they shoot a blast of air in it.
There you
I
go.
think this is bullshit.
Hey man, look, you just your ass who is not wearing his glasses like you're supposed to.
I didn't even know. I didn't know who I was talking to.
I'm just saying, you just got all this glasses trained,
I know.
and you go come for a man that's been taking care of his eyes
For a
probably
while.
for
I know,
years.
it's true. It's
Yeah, I'm
true.
gonna end up with Forrest Whitaker eyes if I don't.
You're gonna stick me with Goddard? No, I think DMF might be back too. But either way, Goddard's learning.
I'm telling you, just teach me how to do it, man. I was a genius for like 5 years or 3 years at
The
Apple.
whole thing was have a close up of you for fucking 2 hours.
I mean, it probably would be. It'd probably just be getting angles of myself.
That's it.
Just like,
He was looking at it. You don't need these guys anymore. So yeah, okay, well, good. Apparently, RB3. This is his last show ever. So I'm kidding. This is his last show, I guess, until next week at the end of the week.
Oh, shit.
We got any of our other wonderful sound bites we're looking for?
We're still working.
We're still downloading it. 'Cause we're
what app is that? Because I want to just start soundboarding people for no reason.
Well, this one in particular, I'm going for the memes. I have a bunch of memes pre-stocked on this, so it's just a memes one. I also got a separate one that's downloaded for customizable ones.
Okay.
So we're still
How did you connect it to the board? I mean, this is now becoming the board talk.
you're learning about it. This is good radio.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, are you trying to take my job, bro? Is that what's happening?
Horizontal oppression, my nigga.
He's doing it Goodfellas style.
Yeah.
He's doing a big
so-
smile on your face and he shoots you in the back of the
Hey,
head.
so what does that button do right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Right.
not telling you.
No,
You
real
teach him how to do it really bad.
No, real talk. I'm just curious on the app you're using, just because the reviews I do with Jay, I would love to just randomly just drop soundboard shit and frustrate the shit out of him.
Yeah. Well, they have a Bluetooth connection, so I don't know. Maybe,
that's why.
This can be
okay.
maybe do something. We could maybe go back to phone calls.
Yeah. I think
in 2020.
I think holding the phone up to the mic.
I thought so too.
I'm starting my own podcast, so I just need to learn a lot about this too.
It's the truth.
What's your podcast about, Brett?
Oh man, just all reviews of movies
Drunk
I haven't
reviews.
seen.
Dude, it's a big hit. Drunk,
Bro,
yeah.
you be the richest man on YouTube. Like that's some real shit.
Well, the drunk reviews people love. People love the drunk reviews. Even though you're not really drunk, but it's just so good at it. It's
I've never been drunk, Mom.
Do what you love, right?
Dude, playing drunk is hard as fuck though.
I know he does it well.
Yeah,
he really does it
well.
well.
Because you can't be like I was. You have to like try and playing drunk is trying to pretend like you're not, because that's what you're normally doing when you're fucked up, is like trying to keep it together. So I'm really impressed, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because that's what he and I we would talk about that back in the day. There's we're gonna go to St. Nick's. I still told that story I think once before on Collider Live. We had this my buddy Ian. Who he was like this. He's Welsh, right? But he was this scrappy dude. But you wouldn't know it from seeing him. But he had such a power right hand, right? And he used to get into fights all the time.
Jesus.
But not now. He's
Yeah.
married with kids. But he was early 20s. He was doing. He would be if someone was fighting in the bar, it was most likely him. And he wasn't like an angry dude. He was just kind of a charming, funny dude that other dudes didn't like because they were talking to his lady or whatever it might be. And the next thing you know, Ian's like, fine, fucker, let's go. I remember being outside one time, having just a great time in front of this bar, laughing and everything too. And there was this show, I won't be too graphic about it, going on in the window of this bar.
Yeah.
And then And Ian comes running out. He goes, "They're coming after me!" And I go, "What?" And this guy hits me in the chin, and I'm just in the middle out of nowhere. Like, what's that,
Dude, I love how you immediately go to old school British fighting. This is you
it's
right
like
here.
this. It's like Marcus of Queensberry. I'm like, dude,
while watching Mandalorian. Can you believe that?
yeah. Well, listen, that's bullshit. Then you quit your job.
Wait, what happened?
He got called and he's in the middle of watching Mandalorian. They called him into work.
No, well then take your ass to the stall, take a shit, and finish the episode. And when they go, "Where the fuck have you been?" You're like, "Don't you worry about my IBS."
Yeah, diarrhea.
Yeah,
But
pre-existing condition.
Yeah, but dude, I was in the middle, and for no reason, in the middle of like a scrap, and I'm like, "What's happening?" That's what would happen when you went out with Ian. But I remember that there was one night when Ian and Brett was over at my place, and I lived around the corner from this bar, and Ian's like, "Let's go out." I'm like, "I'm not going out tonight, dude.
And
No way."
you told me you don't know.
I said, I don't think it's a good idea for you to go to the bar with Ian by yourself.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So would you explain the rest of the night?
I mean, we just had some drinks and ended up on the dance floor with a bunch of ladies. Apparently, there were other people's ladies.
Yep, that sounds pretty right.
I can cut a rug, if you will. Next, cut to we're outside, and I hear him say to me, "Brett, run!"
and he stood and scrapped, but he told you to run.
But I'm just like deer in the headlights, like, "Oh, this is cool," and then suddenly
This is cool.
boom! I'm on the ground.
You got knocked out, right?
I got knocked the shit
Dude.
out.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. I remember
RB3 and Winston, what do you call a rapper that had intercourse with a Smurf Blueface reel?
What?
Question, what's a movie that you love to see reboot because it wasn't good but the mythology was cool?
I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you I'm confused. I am.
Wait. Say the joke again. Can you read it out loud?
Yeah,
Because I just Blueface real.
The joke was, what do you call a rapper who I guess had intercourse with a Smurf?
Yeah.
Blueface.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh shit!
I thought it was pretty good. There's a rapper named Blueface.
Yeah. Now I get. I was like, Blueface real. What? I don't get the real part. Like, what the fuck?
Well, then it was like real question.
It's fucking robot.
Yeah.
Just get your shit together. I missed the joke.
I want to know why that robot had that one day
that it was
started
perfect
to learn, and then it just said, "Nah, I'm gonna be stupid again."
It probably hurt us just being like, damn, you just
catching
smart
on.
now. Yeah, it was like, oh, what? I'm not ready to invade.
Don't let them on to the joke yet, dummy. Go back to being stupid.
Dude, you saw IG. You look, man. IG, them dudes up.
Yeah,
like this.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. I didn't. Okay.
You're talking about chapter 1.
Yeah.
Right.
No, exactly. Well, way to go, Kristian.
Thank you so much. Anyway, we're gonna be doing a non-spoiler review here of The Mandalorian. But I think the first thing I want to do, obviously, if you guys are want to interrupt, you go to do like those people just did. You go to STREAMLABS.com/SCHMOEDOWN, and the SCHMOEBOT will do just that. But we're gonna start with the actual questions that you guys had, and today's date is the 27th. That helps me find the questions. There's a bunch of, look, you guys are already throwing them in there. That's good. So It's Always Sunny in Philly said, while watching Cats, there's an odd 5-minute dance scene I'm still coming to terms with. However, it reminded me of a very underrated film this year about dancing. Gasper's Nose Climax. Has anyone else seen it? It sounds like a porn.
That sounds like a porn.
Yeah, it's a wild film, but I really enjoyed it. I have not seen it.
My mom went to it and said it just didn't need to be made. It was okay, but like, why would you?
Okay,
is this a bit or are you being serious?
No,
I can't tell anymore.
No, my mom sees more movies than
Okay.
I actually, you know what I forgot though? I forgot that Drunk Brett reviewed Cats. We got to put that on the channel too.
That was amazing.
Yeah, we got to put that on the
needed
channel.
more bulge.
Yeah, more bulge. Lewis Bulge or Sammy Bulge?
I'll put them on all of them, man.
Fuck, man, what are you doing this weekend? Let's
go see Cats.
Let's get high and go see Cats.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go over well with the family. What are you doing? I'm gonna get stoned with Winston and go watch Cats. You deal with the kids. Johnny IEP. Kristian, it's my birthday on the 31st of December. Can I please have Arnold sing Happy Birthday? Sure. Let's see, Arnold, can you sing Happy Birthday? Hey, sit down. I'm gonna sing you the song. You ready? You gonna record it? You better. Here you go. You show your family that you know me. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Hey, you. Happy birthday. What is it today? It's your birthday. If you don't like the song, say fuck you. It's your birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Jesus Christ. Bitch, I didn't get this on my birthday. I'm so upset. That was amazing.
Hey, Winston, it's your birthday. And your girlfriend is watching. She's watching the show. What do you know? Hey, happy birthday. If you're gonna propose, do it on the air so we have some time to make it a bit. Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Fuck you.
Bro, that was the best present I got
Ever.
All my birthdays.
Okay, good. I'll do that every year so I don't have to spend money on people. All right. It's Always Sunny in Philly who said, I sent this message while I'm watching Cats in the theater all by myself. 9 p.m. show. I have zero idea what the hell is going on, and I'm loving it. I just continue to laugh at the absurdity of this film. There are cockroaches and mice with human faces. There is no lie.
Now, that is the funniest thing that I saw on Twitter. Someone goes, wait a minute. Someone actually went in audition to be like, I want to be cockroach number 3. To just, are you like, that's insane. I do not know why they made this movie. I do not understand.
I don't know why Tom Hooper made this movie. I understand why someone made this movie. It's like, just like the guy, oh, great idea. Cats. Put faces on Cats movie. I got all this money to throw it. Fine. That guy should be making the Cats movies with the cockroaches' faces. Tom Hooper?
Yeah, I know.
What in the world is going on?
Bankable, he's just like, fuck it, like, man, it's like, we won't cast it up, dog. Like, let's go.
Crazy.
And I think this just further proved to me that dogs are the superior animal, honestly.
Well, because they can carry a movie.
Yes.
Right.
Even with Lady and the Tramp being as trash as it was, this is better than this.
Well, I haven't seen it, but I probably agree with you.
I watched it with my nieces. It's
you can watch it with kids. I like I said, I watched it with my 8-year-old and liked it. The other thing, by the way, did you know? Surprising no one, Universal took Cats out of all their Oscar considerations. However, they did not take it out of the Razzie considerations.
I'm surprised they didn't leave in Jennifer Hudson's performance, because I heard her rendition of Memory was incredible.
You know what? Sing it on karaoke and release it as an iTunes. Why are you out there?
Because you do what Suicide Squad did and go Oscar winner Suicide Squad. For costumes, you go Oscar winner Cats.
Well, it was also on the short list for the visual effects nomination.
It's definitely on the short list. I'll tell you that.
Oh, Jesus!
It is. That movie. I can't believe how bad that movie. That movie's doing. I didn't see the film itself, but
I've never even seen the musical. All I know is Memories. I
know
the song.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
My mom took me as a kid. We were in London, and she was like, "Oh, we should see." That's why I didn't see it on Broadway. I saw it in London, and she was like, we should. It's big, like theater in London. That's huge. Let's go see Cats." And I was like, 10. So I was like, okay. Right. And then left the theater traumatized. Right, it's true. So that's where I developed my cat allergy from. So.
Well, a lot of people are going to have allergies after seeing this movie.
Yeah, I'm telling you, bro.
All right, let's go back into It's Always Sunny in Philly again. I can't remember if this was talked about, but what are your thoughts on the announcement of a Jackass 4 coming in 2021? We did talk about it. I grew up on the franchise and always loved it. Just rewatched all 3 movies while not all the stunts holding up. Some of them do. I think Bonnie was on when we were talking about it, right? It's like, because
I didn't talk about it.
You didn't talk. It's just, it makes me it makes me nervous for them, because
they're
of all,
old as shit now. Their bodies can't take it,
and they're sober. A lot of them. Well, at least,
wow.
And Bam shouldn't be doing anything. He's not in good shape right now, so he shouldn't be doing stuff. Steve-O has been sober for a long time. Even the last movie he was in, he's like, I was hammered after all this stuff. Like, it just hurts. And they're like almost 50 years old. It's just dangerous.
He's doing some funny stuff on YouTube, though. He has got his own channel, and
that's
he's
what I'm saying.
talking about the dumb stuff and showing some par tricks and stuff.
He's doing. It's so funny. If you went back in time, you say which one of these guys would be, not doing well at the moment. You probably would have taken Steve-O, but Steve-O turned himself around.
It's very interesting. It's the same way that like they talk about like ingenues. You can't just like always play like the pretty face the whole time. You can't. The same thing for these dudes doing that. You can't just be that dude that's getting your ass whooped by stupid ass stunts your entire life. Like, you'll die now.
Dude, I hurt my back parallel parking.
I forgot that happened.
It's like I want to go in a shopping cart and push 60 miles an hour down into a stop sign. What? For what? I mean, what are you doing? I'm good with that.
Jesus. There's a couple of things that signify that you're old. One is hurting your back
parallel
parking. The other is getting excited when you buy a new vacuum. That's
Sure.
that definitely like
Or a piece of cheese when a new piece of cheese comes out.
Oh, dude. Jesus Christ.
I just wanted to confuse him like sloppy apples. I love the fact because you don't understand how like a champion improv performer this cat is, right?
Oh,
like,
I know.
But when back in the Acme days, like how good he was. So being able to throw him off by saying sloppy apples is really he's in the middle of this thing, and what about the sloppy apples? What?
Talking about cat
That's the whole point. Sloppy apples. That's what they call the cat apologists.
God.
Anyway, yeah. By the way, someone mentioned Jamie Costa. If you have not watched the Obi-Wan Kenobi short film that the great Jamie Costa did, you should. It is great. He is great, and I'm going to look forward to having him on this show very soon. But you should go and support him. It's really great. A lot of magic went into that. So yeah, we did talk about Jackass Black 1E. I just saw Lost in Space Season 2, and it was amazing. Did you see it? What do you think of it? As I was watching it, I couldn't stop thinking about this is how they can make a Mass Effect series. Happy holidays to all SEN crew and fans. I haven't seen Lost in Space Season 1 or 2.
Yeah, I haven't either.
No. Anybody? Bueller?
Well, because I heard that season 1 was like critically reviewed as like pretty bad, if I remember correctly. I was surprised that they got a second season, but I guess Netflix just always goes gung ho. They're like,
the critics. They listen to the critics. And that was that the bird movie that Sandra Bullock did.
Oh, Bird Box.
I mean, that thing got pooped all over. It was the highest rated movie on Netflix.
Because it's not good, but it was thrilling.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Though. So it was like if
it also competed in a bunch of film festivals.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who was talking? Oh, yeah, that was Trent Reznor. That was the thing we didn't talk about yesterday. But Trent Reznor and I was Atticus Finch. Atticus Ross. But Atticus Ross, he took big shots at Bird Box.
Yeah.
Said that they did the music for it. And he's like, what? He's like, no one's gonna see this piece of shit. He's like, and then it turns out to be one of the
highest streams.
Yeah, he took a dump all over the editor. He's like a horrible editor with terrible choices. It's like
I saw that dude.
Oh, he wrecked his life. Just wrecked his life.
Well, and the funny thing, the editor was laughing all the way to the bank, like, "Bitch, I got a raise." Like,
maybe. But the thing is, too, it's like you say, well, he just said editor. You can go to IMDb and see who the editor was, because he was he didn't wreck the director. Yeah. He didn't say anything about Sandra Bullock. He just really went after that editor. That was really
you know what? I think the only reason the movie did that well though is because it got memed the fuck out of.
Maybe, yeah.
Like
I never saw it.
Really, but you know the premise, right?
Something about like you can't see or some shit.
It was essentially the Vision version of A Quiet Place. So The Quiet Place was done way better, but essentially. The reason why it became such a big deal is then people like, especially Black Twitter, that was part of it, and I think it was like right at the end of Vine. Maybe how long has it been since?
Oh, Vine was dead, but I mean,
Vine was already dead.
It definitely was like a Twitter thing that like got it to be popular.
Well, but because the whole thing is like the demon that you can't see or whatever can whisper shit, and you would like to try and tempt you to be like, take the voice of your mom, like, Kristian, you need to do your notes, take your blindfold off and listen to your mother. Like it would do that, and you'd be like, oh shit, mom, what'd you say? Take it off, you kill yourself. So that it would literally be like black people would be like, hey man, I got that new Popeye's chicken sandwich, my nigga. Just open it and take your blindfold off. I got you. And you'd be like, what? A sandwich? I've been waiting for that shit for a week. It's like, so, and that's why.
Yeah, we never watched it. I was gonna watch it with the wife. Sandra Bullock is probably in the top 5 as far as actresses go for me. I'm not talking about. No, we're not getting to this conversation with you yesterday. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about personal preference.
Fair.
And so I wanted to see it, but then I don't know. Never got around to it.
I mean, again, you're not missing anything. It's more for the cultural references if you want to just see what it was about. But A Quiet Place was done way better as far as let's take away one of your senses to get away from. So
who was it? Was it you yesterday that said that thing? No, it was Coy that said that. Look, Emily Blunt is definitely in the top 10 and better than Kristen Stewart, by the way. But better than Meryl Streep. Coy Ginger's out of his mind.
Well, to say that Meryl Streep is overrated, I wanted to dropkick him. I mean, the truth is, him, Denzel, there's a number of those like top tier actors that truthfully they do play Meryl Streep, they do play Denzel. I get it, but at the same time, that's still saying something as far as you look at Fences, you look at the Iron Lady, you look at all this stuff where they're still, even if they're just them, they're still killing it.
But I think Meryl Streep changes herself up all the time. Even look at what she does in Little Women. And I think she's the GOAT.
I would honestly say that Meryl Streep is MJ, but I feel like Viola is like a Kobe LeBron hybrid, where if there's anybody that's honestly contending with her, it's Viola. It's just obviously Viola hasn't had as long of a career as Meryl.
As we talked about yesterday, she just she started to really come on in the last like 10 years.
Right.
And then the other thing too, is we saw some comments yesterday off this conversation we have. So like, how do you not mention Jennifer Lawrence? We did. This is the third time we talked about it. On the first time we ever talked about it, she was brought up, and this is like RB3 is not having any talk of Jennifer Lawrence going higher than Kristen Stewart on the list.
That's unacceptable.
You think it's disrespectful?
No, that's mad disrespectful.
I actually think I would be part of the disrespectful clan, and I would put her a little higher.
What I appreciate about that, and what shows like how Coy is just such a genuinely nice person. He didn't attack that person. He just said it wasn't a prepared list. We didn't forget about it.
Like,
I was just like that. That's how you deal.
I'm telling you, he kicks things when he gets home because there's no way he's that nice.
No, he's good for him because I'm having this problem now where I'm having to make sure because my tone doesn't always come through via text. So I have to be very careful when I get on Twitter or whatever to respond to shit that it doesn't look like I'm attacking anybody.
Oh, I'm a horrendous texter. I'm not. It's like okay, great. Cool. And everyone thinks like, why are you mad at me? I'm not. I don't like talking to people on the phone, and I don't.
I like doing it. I prefer to do that.
I want nothing to do with anything.
Hey, Kristian, I can't come in today. I'm sick. Got it.
But that's my point. What would you like me to say? Oh, get chicken soup and make sure your wife takes care of you.
Yes,
take care of yourself. Rest.
Yes.
Put your feet up. Fuck off.
Yes.
You come to work when you come to work.
They're fine. You know what? Here's what I want you to say from now on. This will be like our safe word for like you're not mad at me. Cool, you're fired. That's it.
And that's it.
And see what's funny is then when you actually try and fire me, I'm not gonna believe I'm just gonna show up.
That's right. Exactly. That's why you're just gonna get cool.
The only thing that gets me is K and thumbs up.
I don't think I did K.
No, you don't do that, but K and thumbs up.
To a comment?
Just any sort of...
I
don't know.
The thumbs up thing I'm coming around to, and I'll tell you why. Because after we're having a whole thing, like a whole big conversation, and I don't want to do the awkward thing, well, you didn't text back, and if I don't text back,
it's just a receipt.
It's just like, just to let you know that we're good. The conversation's over now.
I have a tendency just from being in film as long to I always hit them back with like a copy or a copy you just because I understand. Same thing with bartending shit. Like I'll just be walking by people, be like behind or points or whatever the fuck. It's just in my
on your back.
Yep.
On your left.
Yep.
So, anyways, I don't know how we got down that road, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. Let's see. The next thing is Sir Skipper. Sir Skipper. Where's the fucking SCHMOEBOT? Who said that? Someone said they threw in a SCHMOEBOT.
SCHMOEBOT's on.
I don't know. Sir Skipper. In regards to yesterday's discussion, the Dune series by Frank Herbert is pretty much Game of Thrones in space. It's incredible, and Star Wars takes a lot from it. Let's do it, man. I'm down to see what's going to happen with Dune. I'm waiting.
Give it to Taika Waititi.
No, he's already got it. It's Denis Villeneuve is doing it. So they pushed it back a little bit, but I'm ready. I'm ready for that one. Joel Godina. I thought episode 8 was good, but personally, I thought there were too many cliche moments. Do you mean episode 9? Oh, chapter 8. Chapter 8 was good, but personally, I thought there was too many cliche moments. But the last scene already has me hooked for season 2. Well, we'll get into that in just a little bit for sure, but no spoilers. The spoilers will come later. Suge Knight 323. Hey, it's a sausage fest in the house again. Yep. Have you guys seen the behind the scenes of the Top Gun Maverick? No, I have not seen the behind the scenes. I cannot wait for this movie, and I think it's going to be top 5 of 2020. I like the way you think. I'm looking forward to that movie a lot. It's one of my most anticipated.
I gotta go see Top Gun first.
You've never seen it?
Yeah.
You want to borrow it?
Do you have it?
Yeah, I got it. You can borrow it.
Oh, yeah, I'll watch it tonight.
All right, yeah. And you talk about it on Monday.
Yeah.
All right, that's
about it.
All right, that'll be fun.
I took a gal to Top Gun because I heard somebody say take somebody to a movie that they've already seen and then they get to make out or whatever. Oh. I didn't get to make out.
She never seen it?
Aren't you married?
She had already seen. No, this was like back in
like last week.
7th grade or 8th grade. Yeah. No, this is like 7th grade. I was like, all right. Oh, have you seen Top Gun? Yeah, but I'd watch it again. I'm like, here we go, Make Out City. Right. Oh, I love this movie.
I almost ruined Bridesmaids for myself because of that. because I went to go see it. I went to see it by myself,
Right.
and then I ended up going on 2 different dates to see Bridesmaids, all within like a 72-hour window.
You took 2 different people to see Bridesmaids?
It wasn't my fault.
What do you
One
mean?
of them was a
Say
date,
no.
and one of them I didn't know was a date.
Oh, how does that happen to you?
I don't know.
I figure you would know.
I mean, well, it's because I wasn't always this charming. So this was back because what Bridesmaids came out like 09?
2000. No, let me guess. RB3. I'm gonna challenge you here.
Yeah, I know.
2011.
Bridesmaids?
Bridesmaids.
2011, yes.
Well, don't trust him. Remember when he said he was good at movie release dates and Ben Bateman embarrassed
You
him?
did go like 1 for like 8 when you said.
High pressure situation.
That wasn't the best performance.
No prep. I didn't have any prep. I'm telling you.
All right. We'll see. We'll see.
That was a greater meltdown than me versus Emily Rose. That's my only IG match.
You got you. Oh, you didn't get your ass kicked. It was close.
It was close, but that was like one of the lowest scoring matches of all time.
And it was that match, though, that actually showed me the kind of player that Emily Jacobson is, because that wasn't an impressive match by either one of you guys.
Right.
Her match against Brandon Hanna, even though she lost,
Right.
she had done so much work and she had improved so much from that match. Like, because Brandon Hanna's good.
Yeah.
And she was neck and neck with him the whole time.
Nice.
I thought after that match with you, I said this might be ugly, and it was not. She fought really, really well. I think she's going to be one of the more improved players next year. I think she's a steal. I think she's a steal in the draft for sure. I like her too. I think she's
nice as hell,
super
man.
nice. She's funny. She wants to be part of it. She's working hard. I like Emily a lot. Anyway, so you went on 5 dates.
It was 3.
Okay.
This is way before I knew you.
Yeah.
Let's clear that
Well, we
right
said
now.
it's 2000. This is 2000.
Yeah, it's 2011.
Yeah.
But it was. I went to see it by myself because I was like, I love Kristen Wiig, I love Maya Rudolph, so I was like, this is gonna be hilarious,
Right.
and I died laughing. And then I took a girl on a date to go see it, and then again not smooth at all, so I just had no game. So like, literally, I would do this thing from like middle school up until about like 5 years ago.
Popcorn trick.
Well, not even that, where I'm literally sitting here. Jesus, you're gonna get me in trouble. No, absolutely not. Also, you don't want pimples. That sounds terrible. Don't do that.
Oil.
This is a comedy. Why are you screaming? Teeth. So
Good movie.
But I would do this thing where I'd be like, okay, at the end of the scene, I'm gonna put my arm around her. All right. As soon as the scene ends, ready, and the scene changed. Oh, fuck, I didn't move my arm. Shit. Okay. All right. As soon as this scene is over, I swear to God, I'll put my arm around. I'm gonna do it, and then all of a sudden you look up and the movie's over. So like that would be my stupid shit that I would do all the time. So the second time I went to see it,
You did the yawn.
Yeah, exactly. You think about doing that shit or whatever.
You can't do it in that shirt. You light the whole theater up.
I mean, that's true. I want to wear my fucking cell shit.
Nice.
But
it gets dark back
Wait, is
there.
that a onesie? Is that like
no.
Oh, okay.
But
It's
it's
amazing.
you know
Where do you
this.
find this shit?
Hey man, look, I'm
This
a
is good
nerd through
stuff.
and through.
I love
baby.
it.
Yeah,
Your outfits are on point.
just every time. Well, part of it too is most of the anime stuff I wear is all workout clothes.
Yeah.
So pretty much when I finish this, I go home and I work out.
Right.
So that way I don't have to worry about changing. If I have to go home and change, I'm gonna sit my ass down and play Borderlands, and then I'm not moving the rest of the day.
So you're on your 8 dates.
I'm on my 15th day, right? And so essentially, my homie used to do that shit where he would do like, hey man, just count shoulders, my dude. Just be like, hey girl, you ever count shoulders before? 1, 2, 3, 4. And like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna try that in between a scene when it's clearly nothing going on. And so on this date,
punch her in the nose by accident?
she literally was like, can we not? And I was like, ooh. And then this third time I went with a friend of mine that it was a date to her, and I didn't know that. But what was funny is she was like kind of laughing, and she was trying to, and I was just like, I don't even like this movie anymore. I've heard all these jokes twice. Like the third time is not as funny.
I get it. She shits in the street. Right.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And I mean, what was hilarious the first time was not as funny like the third time in 3 days.
Right.
So I don't know. The only thing that is constantly funny is Melissa McCartney stealing all those puppies. Spoiler alert. But that shit is hilarious every fucking time.
I thought the movie was gonna be terrible.
Really?
Yeah. Because I thought it was going to be very cliche. I thought they were just going to do what they do with it, like, because Melissa McCarthy at that point not known. She just was on that sitcom or whatever too. So I was like, okay, we're just gonna do the cliche kind of token overweight role here, and it was anything but that.
Yeah.
She stole the show. She was incredible. The Kristen Wiig was that opening scene with John Hamm was so
Oh
funny.
my God.
The movie's very funny.
Dude, it's part of the reason why I hated in the last like few years that they have continuously tried to put her in just playing the fat funny lady.
Yeah.
Because that was a moment where like sure she's big, but that had nothing to do with it.
No,
She just was
at
just
all.
a comedically genius.
Yeah.
And so I prefer when they just let her just be her instead of trying to put her in a trope. And I appreciate her they're giving her more serious roles. I know The Kitchen didn't pan out very well, but
I also didn't know anything about Paul Feig.
And
cause right now he's more hit for me than miss. Although what did he just did that movie that Last Christmas, which I didn't like.
Last Christmas was terrible.
It was really bad.
It was I mean, being in a holiday movie, it was like, okay, sure, whatever. But I called, maybe, I don't know. I mean, you don't have to get in the chat because I don't need people to find you. But because, whatever. Anyway, the same way you don't put your mom out there. But I can attest to the fact that I figured out what the twist was within like 30 minutes.
It's so
like
stupid.
very quickly. I was like, oh,
I couldn't believe it. But what's happening with these directors?
But I would say a simple favor is really good.
Simple Favor is great. But I'm saying this year, what's going on with these directors who are really great doing movies like this? You got Paul Feig doing Last Christmas. You got Tom Hooper doing Cats.
Yeah.
Dude, what the?
Dude,
no, not just this though, because we've had offers of people doing movies like, that wasn't as good. But these are bad movies. I know some people like Last Christmas.
Money, dude. I'm serious. And the reason why I think, honestly, is that Jeff Bezos is taking everything. So you have to get your cut of the pie while you fucking can. And if they're going to give you, what, $5 million to do Last Christmas.
But he doesn't need that. He could have gotten $5 million to do a better movie. But he might actually like Last Christmas. But Cats is no excuse. There's no excuse for Cats. There really is no excuse.
Cast seems like a pure paycheck. That seems like
it's just at what point? I mean, because when you can tell legit they thought they would be able to get some kind of Oscar out of this thing. Yeah. Cats, which is the longest running Broadway musical I think ever, right? Mm-hmm. And you put Tom Hooper, you're like, oh, this is gonna hit.
All-star cast.
Yeah, well, guess what? You just ruined our chances for Thundercats. That's what you did with this movie. That's what you did with this movie. We're never gonna get a Thundercats movie now because of this. You're gonna go, oh yeah, you saw what happened with Cats.
Yeah.
See, that's the greatest. I think that's the greatest fear for any like minority trying to get in the film. It's like, well, now we can't ever have like a black person lead a film ever again because
it's a bomb.
It's a bomb. No. Or it was the whole excuse that Elizabeth Banks tried to say about like female lead action stars. But I was like, that
you can't say that right now
because there's a lot that are super successful. So that's not.
And she said you can't say Captain Marvel because it's part of the Marvel. Okay, well, what about Lucy? Lucy made a shit ton of movie. There's so many. It's like
even Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde,
have a big budget.
No,
it
still made its money.
Exactly.
It's that to me at that point
look at
that particular argument wasn't the best.
Wrong.
Oh no, it was great.
Okay, look,
it got me in the discussion, so I don't care.
That's fine.
Do you guys have longer days? Am I in an alternate universe where mine's 24 hours a day and you guys like have 48 hours? I saw this. 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 I saw this.
I didn't see Cats.
I mean, it's you know what it is. You know what it is as I admitted, I watch shit while I drive, which unfortunately my little phone holder broke, so I can't right now. Fuck you.
No. You're going to kill someone.
It's fine. Have I yet?
I'm sure a lot of people.
I'm going to knock on wood right now because now you've got me paranoid. But then also,
your lady needs to tell you cut that shit out.
She's tried.
Okay.
She's tried. I don't do it. Here's the thing. I don't do it if anybody else is in the car.
You know when it'll stop? When you have kids.
Probably.
Yeah, it'll stop
probably. And then the thing is, Kristian just ignores his kids. He just watches TV all the time, so it's fine.
Well, in the house, not on the road. Just like, okay, fine. All right, you want to do that? We'll watch. I'm going to watch The Mandalorian. Good luck, fuckers.
I mean, here's the thing. I've had a lot of practice, though, because I used to play my computer while the TV was on. So I essentially, like I said, I've essentially develed the Forrest Whitaker eye where I can have one here and one there. So I'm fine.
All right, Saw Gerrera. All right, let's get into the next one here. 420 friendly. I like that. That's put in the SCHMOEBOT there. Thank you, 420 friendly. Dagnino's ankle bracelet. I like that one. How much would I have to pay for Brett to record his live drunk prank calls in the vein of the Jerky Boys? That would be amazing.
That would be pretty great.
If we called some people and you tried to do.
I could try that.
The problem with it's like we just got to get a different landline.
Yeah.
And how does that work though?
These days, right?
Do they sign off of it on the end? I mean, what is the?
I don't know if they do because when you listen to Stern, when Stern does a lot of these things, there's no chance a lot of these people.
A Big Boy does it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, is it something at the end where?
Well,
I don't think so.
I don't know if I can answer that question. I know the answer to it, but I don't know if I can answer it.
Yeah.
All right,
What was the question? I wasn't paying attention.
About
Thanks.
how they get people to
Good sell.
Sorry.
I'll put it to you this way. Think a la judge shows. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
I can't say anything other than that because I'll get in trouble, but think judge shows.
Oh, what? So they're all fake?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
The Stern ones are not.
Well,
I'll tell you that.
But see, that's the other thing, though. They are probably now. They weren't before because part of what they're running into trouble with is because you have all these robocallers and shit.
Yeah.
A lot of them, they can't really get a.
When you listen to what they do for like Richard Christie, and so they call into shows, and it's not like they're not like randomly calling like some random person. They call into shows like that, like these religious shows or whatever, and they get through the landlines and they start talking to these people, and it's like,
well, then that's probably fine.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
Like that's so. But I don't know. Even
But,
trying
like-
to call people up with that voice,
Yeah.
it's just like, hey.
God.
God. Oh, almost. You're almost got. He's trying to come back. He's coming. He's trying to come back. It's like he's coming home. He's coming home. He's like he can't get out of the old system.
Do it. Pull harder.
Come back. You garbage. I'll say it for you. You want to call garbage, boy?
I'm just so happy I finally understand because I spent every time I was on that show I had no idea what the fuck that was from or the call like I had no idea what the fuck that was.
You got so excited when you heard him say yeah. You said, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Kaylin Rose, 7:15. We know her. What was the best thing you ate over the holiday? My grandma made chicken gumbo on Christmas Eve. Sounds good. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Merry Christmas to you also. Let's see. My wife's brisket. So good. Oh, it's so good. I'll be eating it for dinner.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
Best to all of you for the Roaring 20s. I've been going back to watch SCHMOEBOT Season 3 but confused on the order. Is it possible to put the episode numbers in the titles or too late?
No, absolutely.
Thank you all for the laughs.
Yes, I can do that, and I will do that. The other way that you can do it, by the way, is I think that it's Garth. I'm not sure, and if it isn't, I apologize. But there is, if you go to SCHMOEBOT Wiki, it's got everything, and it has all the lists of all the episodes from all the seasons ranked there. It's got all the stuff from the factions, and I mean everything. The list of all the title matches. It's got the whole entire library in the SCHMOEBOT Wiki. However, I will also put the episode numbers on the title so it's easier to follow. I think that's probably a better way to do it. All right.
So I'm Guyanese, and so I had both my aunt and then my dad's really good friend. They made pepper pot, which essentially it's like there's like it's like a soup more or less, and then they put all sorts of meat, so like oxtail, brisket, like whatever kind of thing you can put in, and then it's spiced with like these
you
peppers.
heard that one. You paid attention to that one, huh?
and then it's spicy as shit, but it's a tradition on Christmas. You're supposed to have pepper pot because it brings good luck and fortune.
Yeah.
And it's so good. But my sister, she didn't know that the little red ball was one of the hottest peppers that you can find.
Oh, man.
So she just went and ate it, and then all of a sudden she was like, ah! I was like, what's wrong? And she's just tears flowing and just chugging milk. Oh God, it was funny.
That does sound funny.
I made chili.
Oh, how was
Nice.
that?
Yeah,
Garbage. Yay! There it is.
No,
Was the chili garbage?
I do a chili. It's with chicken, and there's cactus in it, and hominy, and it's called a white chili, but I let some of the I don't know what that's called. When you cook the chicken and you put a little water in there and whatever the season that comes off.
Cooked chicken bouillon.
Yeah, like so it wasn't necessarily white because I don't want to be racist. And
I was just about to ask what's wrong with the black chili. Well done.
Yeah.
You beat me to it. You beat me to it, bro.
No, it was we always do with chili cook. Mine won.
You won?
Yeah,
Nice,
I won
man.
the chili. Yeah.
Do you have any left?
I don't. It got destroyed, but I will make.
So did the toilet afterwards,
I'll make
too.
it and bring it in sometime. Yeah. And I also made a bunch of runzas.
Yeah, I like that.
Nice.
Anybody know what a runza is?
That's what you get after you
To
eat
the
the
store.
chili.
No,
It's to the store.
It's in. It's only in like the Midwest. It's like a meat pocket. It's like got cabbage and onions and meat inside of like a doughy kind of a
Oh,
thing.
it sounds like a beef patty. It's something similar that they do in the West Indies.
Yeah, so good, so good.
Somebody called your chili woke chili.
Yeah,
I like
Because
that.
it was
I
a
like
white
that.
chili that got a
Pretty
little
good.
chicken
yeah.
flavor on
I
it.
put it. Well, I
pretty
browned
good.
it out a little bit. I don't know. Somebody tell me. I can't think of what it is. When you've got a pan and you take off of when the brownness that cooks off the chicken.
Yeah.
It's called. It's not fond. It's the.
I know what you're talking about. The thing that essentially cakes on the bottom.
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, and then that has all the flavor, and you can make it like a little sauce out of it. Somebody help me out. Here.
All right, Pac-Man Dwayne. He put in a SCHMOEBOT. And Joel Godina, what would y'all do in this situation? I slept with a girl a while back. She got pregnant. But she says she got pregnant by another dude.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, though. The baby looks like me more than him. Do I ask for a paternal test or do I say, fuck that shit?
Well, it's up to you. Do you want a kid?
But I mean, listen, this is for me. I would say you take the test, man.
Yeah.
Because it'll all change when you find that that is your kid. Because you'll
Before it's too late.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
exactly because you're gonna be. I don't know how old you are, but if you at one point and that kid, you're like, wait. I didn't spend any time with that kid.
Yeah.
I didn't learn anything about that kid. You just want to pass it off and go, oh, good luck. You take care of him.
Yeah, that would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
I would want to know
Yeah.
that it's my kid one way or the other. So I would probably insist. Take
And
it
what
to
if you
Maury.
don't? And what if you don't ever have another kid again? And that is your kid.
Bro, take it to Maury, get a free trip.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Is he still
It's a
doing
TV
that?
Oh
shit?
hell yeah!
I
Because black
guess he
people
would.
love that shit, bro. like real talk.
You are not the father.
I told you, dog.
Maury.
All right.
That's why I'm not allowed here on 5 days a week.
No, hey, listen, I'm good with it. All right.
SCHMOEBOTs.
Yeah, the SCHMOEBOTs. Yeah, it's right. If we get some more SCHMOEBOTs, then we'll, if not, then this will be the last week of this. ZCM Zombie Custom Maps. Kristian, have you ever listened to Astroworld by Travis Scott? If you want to get back into hip hop, it should help you. I've spoken. Okay.
Yes.
I will. I'm going to check it out.
That's a great album.
I need to. I mean, the last, I don't know. I haven't, because that's what I grew up with in Queens. I mean, that's the stuff that I was showing all.
It's called fond, which you get by deglazing the pan.
Oh, fun. There
Yes,
you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Call to action.
Deglazing. That's the word I was looking for.
Congratulations to Call to Action, by the way. Nominated for Best After Show and Podcast, Schmoedown. It'll be January 11th, and with that and the awards and the draft, by the way, January 11th, tickets are on sale still. Only $20 for the entire tier. Normally we have different tiers for the live events. This is just $20. Get you in. You can come in and 21 and up. But it starts at 12:30, and it'll be just around 3 hours, and we're going to be doing both the draft and all the awards. You can vote if you're at patreon.com/schmoedown. That's $1 tier and up gets to vote. But please come and check it out. Check us out at the schmoedownlive.com, January 11th.
Word. Also, call to action. My bad. I lost the business card y'all gave me, so somebody just slide my DMs and I'll do the show.
Okay, yeah, you got Paul.
Okay, boomer.
Hey, wait a minute, Jesus! I'm a goddamn millennial. You ain't gonna do that shit to me.
I think I don't know if Ben's still listening. Got it. What's that?
My bad.
Not-
My bad.
What the hell are you doing over there?
Not funny. Didn't laugh.
I'm trying.
Not funny, didn't laugh.
He's trying
That was
out the
good.
memes.
I'm trying it out now.
I'm
Yeah, it's true. Goddard, who I like a lot, he overuses Okay Boomer.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
And I hope he's listening. He overuses.
He does realize we're not boomers, right?
No, that's not that. But that's not it though. It's a thing that just it's not meant to be just for the boomers. It's meant for when you have that kind of take that it's just like it's like
You're
It's a
old.
very old ass.
yeah, it's like an old take, which
Yeah.
is I get it. It's just
But do you not remember when YOLO got burnt out and the Dab got
that's
burnt
the
out
problem.
and
is
like
don't
it happens?
But take your time and don't overuse it.
But you know what's funny though? You know who says "Okay, Boomer" more than Ben does?
Who?
actual boomers who were like, "You're not just the okay boomer, me.
Yeah,
okay, millennial. All right, cool. Okay, boomer. You literally just took a joke that was already not that funny and
You
made it
have
worse.
to say okay Gen Xer to me. Okay?
Yeah.
That's all I accept. I identify as a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
I respect that, baby. I respect it.
This is the next one. Joe the Giant. Mandalorian season finale is my third favorite TV episode of Star Wars, behind Twilight of the Apprentice and Twin Sons from Rebels. Okay. Is it possible to be more hyped for season 2? I don't think it is. This is probably a good way for us to get into the review now, the non-spoiler review. Yeah, I'm with you. My tweet that what I tweeted out just, I don't know, about an hour ago, I said, what a season of The Mandalorian. Taika Waititi brings his style to the show and just made some of the best Star Wars that I think I've seen in quite a while. The entire season has been so satisfying. What a creative crew. Favreau, Filoni, Chang, Howard, Famuyiwa brought pure magic. This, to me, is everything I wanted in Star Wars. I was trying to go over, like, if I could think of Rebels and Clone Wars and the prequels and the new trilogy and the old trilogy, and if we could rank them all together, and I was like, I'm gonna stay away from that dumpster fire. But this is what I've been hoping for the last year. What I said
was going down a celebrity impression dating game rabbit hole and stumbled upon Brett doing a Colin Farrell impression. I think it needs to be revisited. Happy holidays from the 940.
Thank you so much. Do you do a Colin Farrell impression?
I thought I did it poorly, but
you want to do Colin Farrell talking about the Mandalorian?
Oh God, I have to get in this. Jesus,
I know.
Why do you guys? My favorite sandwich is a pastrami.
Applesauce.
Colin Farrell. It's
hard
just
to do.
Irish. Yeah, turd. No,
No. Good. Well, maybe I should stay retired.
I'll work with it. It is garbage.
Glad to have him come back.
But the Mandalorian, it is, to me, the best content in Star Wars that I've seen since Return of the Jedi. And I really like Rebels a lot, and I really like Clone Wars a lot. What it has done for me so far, it has developed characters in a way that I wanted to inside of the Star Wars galaxy. Little things that I thought were going to be, okay, well, that's for this particular episode. It all tied together, and it did exactly what I hoped it would be, and it turned it into a little over a 4-hour movie if you put them all together, because this one's the longest one. Taika Waititi's style worked very well for this episode. The opening, which I won't spoil, I got nervous for, because I said, okay, is this going to be the entire episode? It's clearly a Taika Waititi episode when it starts. But I got what they were going for, and I was like, okay, it works as long as it doesn't continue. It didn't continue, so I thought it added into the overall episode. Maybe went on a smidge too long, in my humble opinion. But what these characters have endured, it all comes to a head in this particular episode. The main villain, if you haven't seen the last episode, the main villain is someone I think what a great presence.
Yeah.
And it also gives us something I don't think we've had in Star Wars for a long time, and that's a known villain that we know who we're dealing with here. And okay, what is this villain about? What is the motivation? There's a clear-cut plan. We're learning more and more about it. And the same thing about the Mandalorian. We're learning more and more about him. That comes to a head. The stuff that we learned, that's why there's one episode, I think, in this entire season that I could think you called filler. The other ones, I think people are totally off base for saying, because it all comes to a head in this episode.
Well, what I really appreciate about it, and that was what my hope was, is that they didn't waste this. Cameo was the wrong word, but I used it at the time just because you only got a second of him in episode 7 or chapter 7.
Right.
This is the first time that I've been excited about a villain since, honestly, Darth Maul, and it was a situation for Star Wars, and that was a situation with him, having not seen Rebels and Clone Wars, mind you, so I don't know how his character evolves. I know he comes back, but where there was that weird mystery about him, and then he just ultimate badass. Right. That was the thing that I really appreciated about this, is it felt like a marriage between that kind of mystery about Darth Maul with like the insidious like plotting of the Emperor, to like have that villain be like, cool, this is gonna drive this series for a while, maybe just the next season, but he's gonna be the person we're dealing with. And I love that. So I can't think of a better director to have closed this out, and I think Taika Waititi's the GOAT.
It was a smart choice for him to have him close it out too. And like I said, I'm going to be doing a spoiler-heavy review on this a little later that I can get more in depth, so I don't ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it. But it was a very smart choice for them to do it because it led up. I think that all the directors did a very good job on establishing character story. I think that I would still say the star of the directing star is still Deborah Chow.
You think so?
Yeah. I think Deborah Chow to me was the best. Yeah.
That's fair. I think for me, just with Taika, is the idea that the whole spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Like, you had some dark moments, and by having his levity that he always brings to the projects he does, it helps. It's the same reason why JoJo was so much fun, is because you're dealing with some real serious shit, but like he gives you those moments where you're like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. So he's really mastered that balance.
Yeah,
so
I agree. RB3, what did you think?
Yeah, I really loved this episode. I thought it was a really well done job of like displaying the Mandalorian I think for a lot of the filler episodes that people might criticize the show for, it goes to demonstrate like his character and how much he builds and how much he's willing to fight and make these turns and care about, the child and make sure that he's kind of evolving into like this almost like fatherly type role with it. And you can see, even though the Mandalorians are this supposed like race or beings of warriors and everything, you can see humanity even with a character just wearing a mask. I think you really see that a lot in this episode too. I think you see the action, to me, is probably the best I think of all the episodes.
Oh yeah.
Literally the ending finale action sequence was just like mind-blowing.
Amazing.
It was
Especially for
cinematic.
something on TV.
Yeah, it was cinematic.
Yeah, and like you said, Taika Waititi is like the star, obviously, of this episode, like directorial wise, because like you said, there is a lot of emotional moments that happen towards the end, but there are. I really love the opening scene.
I loved it.
That had the more comedic stuff in it, so I'm all for it. This was a great close to it. I think a great saga
season so far.
And Star Wars.
Brett?
It was a great combination of humor and like tugging at the heartstrings and action. I mean, it was I think for me, yeah, it was my favorite, and this whole show was not what I expected.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it. It just became something completely different. I'm like, oh, it's a Star Wars thing. It's just gonna be, shooting lasers and whatever. And
Hey guys, wanted to send you this as an appreciation for getting me through peak season at work loading package trucks. Can't wait to see the New York show in January.
Well, thank you.
Schlong.
Well, thank you, Ken.
Schlong.
Go ahead.
To me, Chow is the surprise director in
yes.
terms of performance, but I was happiest with the performances that Waititi was able to pull from all of the actors. Super eager to see more Star Wars from both of them.
Yeah, me too. And I wonder if Taika Waititi is going to come back. But like I said, Deborah Chow, who still think is the superstar of the entire season, but he follows up. And I think that you got to give a lot of the credit to Favreau, because Favreau wrote this episode.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
You don't take away from that.
And Filoni too, of course.
Filoni is executive producer, and the two of them, you can see their style all over this damn thing. But this particular episode, when you look at the writing, it was Favreau wrote the episode. Now it's what he. This is one on the other day when I said that Chow was such a great director, and someone said, "Well, you can't just give her the credit. You got to give Filoni and Favreau. Of course, you give those guys credit too. But it's the director that brings the style, their particular style. From the second this thing opens, you know see
exactly.
Waititi's style.
Yep.
And that is also why I say we are just learning Deborah Chow right now.
Sure.
We're just learning her. So her style, you're not familiar with it the same way you are with Waititi. So you would know right away what it is. Like, you just think, oh, it's so seamless that it just blends in. I think she is right now. She is the go-to Star Wars director, and I'm glad that they're doing that for Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
But this episode shows that this collective team made this series work, and it was smart off the bat to say these are the directors we're going to get.
No, it was brilliant. And I you know what, I think the thing that I appreciate for The Mandalorian as a whole is that for me personally, Star Wars, the only thing that I was really interested in, like the other stuff was cool, was always just the Force. So Jedi, Sith, like that's the stuff that I really care about.
Yeah.
The rest kind of falls to the wayside. This has genuinely got me excited to like see this whole clan of Mandalorians like we saw in episode 3 when he was running away, like the lore of that and what that is. And I appreciate this series for like getting me reinvested in something that's just not lightsabers. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. And so Brett, you were saying, sorry. But
I can't remember.
That's fine.
That was 2 minutes ago. No, but I do. Just another thing. Just I think this is going to make more Star Wars fans,
Right.
and maybe they're going to go back and watch the movies if they weren't before. I think this is just a whole new thing that's wonderful and delicious. Let's call it delicious.
Yeah.
And I actually got to watch it with my son this morning, which
That's
was great.
cool.
Yeah.
That was actually this is actually a nice moment that I had again with my daughter this morning because she doesn't have school this week, so I said I told my wife I'm going to go into the bedroom and watch it because I got to talk about it on the show later. She's like, okay, and I was like, well, you know what, maybe I'll take Vivian to watch it now because we usually watch it. She's like, well, you got to my wife was ask her because she likes to watch it with you on Friday, so it's Friday, and I said, well, Vivian, I'm going to give you a choice. Do you want to watch it tonight or do you want to watch it in the morning? She goes, tonight. She wants to because we like to see we sit on the couch, we have popcorn. She want to ruin the moment, so she knew she loves the show.
That's cool. Now this was the first time that I started to agree with you with the violence, though. I didn't feel that way about any of the other episodes, but this one I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is. I mean, there's a lot, but the last episode, there's things that happened in this episode for sure. But,
I mean, even the when you were talking about the opening scene, I was like,
oh yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why, and someone said it too. That like I had mentioned, I was worried about the opening scene because I didn't know what kind of tone we were setting for the whole episode. But when you see what the rest of the episode is, it's like a layer of okay, feel good here for a second because then boom. And then we're into this thing, and it just doesn't stop. And it's a great adventure, for about 45 minutes or something like that. And it's the longest episode so far, as it should have been. Yeah. But it ties into everything, and it reminds me though, RB3 from I know you watched like the first 3 seasons of Rebels, but it feels like the same type of style or blueprint.
Yeah.
Like and I think you mentioned this early on in one of our previous shows that Filoni did that a lot with the show. There would be like ones you thought were filler that tied in once the finale came in. I think that this is what this episode did for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree because I think what at least with Rebels, at least like you did meet a lot of different characters like along the way, and it was kind of like pick or choose who were gonna matter in the finale, who doesn't matter in the finale. But you end up seeing why everything was important towards the end, and I think. This episode in particular, at least for me, I was surprised to revisit certain characters who were in previous episodes that I didn't expect to see in this. I was surprised. There's a lot of surprises and
big surprises. And there's something, and there's other. I can't wait to talk about this. This is one of those episodes that doesn't just do justice by doing non-spoiler because there's things that tie in to the overall lore. I thought that I will be talking about, and I'm aiming for 12:30 p.m. today PST to do my spoiler heavy review of The Mandalorian. I don't know if I'm able to do the watch long because it's long, So and I don't know if I have more than about an hour today to do it, but I'll try, So let's see what we can do.
I have a question though. Do you think Lucas is watching the show and you think he likes it or?
Yeah. Because it's Filoni.
Yeah,
I do. I think that you can see some of Lucas's stamp in this show, and you could clearly see when you watch Clone Wars. Lucas worked on that show. I mean, he was in the writers' room, and it was funny because I remember when that show was announced. I was like, how involved is he going to be? He was in the writers' room a whole damn time working with Filoni and teaching him. So, and you've seen him on the set, and I think he's very close with Dave, and I think that's one of the main reasons that Filoni is one of the exec producers because of his relationship and how close he is with George. Right. So I do think that I think that anytime Filoni wants to call that bat phone, he can do it. I don't think a lot of people at Lucasfilm can, but I think that he can.
Yeah, I think that's what makes me the most excited because it, like you said, it feels. And it's very easy to like just have a show and have like old production design and like practical effects and everything. But I enjoy the fact that the show actually feels like it's a continuation of like the Return of the Jedi type tone and attitude and everything like that. So. Yeah,
and that's the thing though is that I understand like there's a lot of people that maybe tons of generations grew up with a generation grew up with the prequels.
Sure.
Right? So there are a ton of people out there whose generation was the prequels. And that's the tone that they're familiar with. And so there's certain things that they want to see that reminds them of that. I grew up with the original trilogy. So the tone I've always wanted.
Mandalorian Episode 8 paid off the stakes in Episode 7. So for me, it's better than 7.
I agree.
but between 6, 7, and 8 it made this series one of my favorites of 2019.
I completely agree. My favorites right now are probably 8, 7, and 6. Love the
Six
Bill Burr
is
episode.
Six is
That's
Bill Burr.
I love that episode, man. I watched it again recently. I love it. I think it's but it's not my favorite. This one right now. But that also because of how great 7 was. So that's when it starts to get tricky, like when you're ranking these things.
But I think the other thing that I really appreciate is we keep talking about how do video games not translate to movies and TV as well as they should. People were concerned about how it was, oh God, it's so like this episode where now he has this boss and whatever. It really, if you look at these 8 episodes, it did feel like we were watching a video game in real time, which I kind of appreciate, to be honest with you. Maybe not in the moment because you're like, I wanted maybe a little bit more, but if you look at it, he did gain an extra skill, stuff like that. There were payoffs to moves he was doing throughout the whole season that happened in this episode. So like I love the fact that it wrapped it all up well enough for us to genuinely appreciate even the episodes we maybe weren't the fondest of, with the exception of maybe bad acting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Other than that.
Come on, Mando.
You know, you make me laugh so much
Every time you do that. Every time you do it.
I mean, come on, Mando. Okay. What are we going to do next, Mando? The only thing I don't want to do next, Mando, is watch episode 9, Mando, because I'm going to make a post about it on my Instagram, Mando.
Yo, dude, you got to cut that out specifically, put that on the soundboard. Come on, Mando.
Come on, Mando.
I went back and rewatched the episode.
And he does that.
He doesn't say, come on, man.
But it's kind of like that. It's just like,
exactly.
It's all right, Mando.
Question about the violence, though. I did feel like
I want to be part of the guild, Mando.
You showed this to Vivi, and it is quite violent. And I was a little worried about my 9-year-old, but it feels like Star Wars violence is a softer violence.
That's what Winston was saying yesterday. And my daughter the other day was so gracious. I was so happy my wife wasn't around when she said this, but she's like, I don't know what it is, but I love Star Wars violence.
It's kid friendly, bro.
She's like, I love Star. She gets so excited when the blasters are happening because like I'm not showing her real, guns and all that kind of stuff. Blasters. She loves it.
Well, because that's a whole thing. You know what blasters feel like? It's like having a Nerf gun. So you just like, oh,
yeah,
like,
right.
Like, and that's I guess what I meant by it wasn't that. The worst that's happened in this series is like people getting set on fire.
Yeah,
like there's implications of legs flying off, but again, you never see the detached legs. You just the legs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like,
whose legs are that, Mando?
I think she also thinks like stormtroopers are robots too. Like, it kind of doesn't
register because there's no face.
Yeah.
Same thing. So, it's the other. My daughter, like I told you how when she wants to play Fallen Order, how she signals me. Like my wife will be turned around. She's like, "Hey, Dad." And she'll like move her hands around with the lightsaber and like she'll be running. She's like, I want to blast the stormtroopers, and I was like, okay, fine, go ahead.
Do you think between Jedi Fallen Order and The Mandalorian, do you think like the future of Star Wars is more predicated towards like video games and TV shows?
I hope so. I really hope so. I think to me, and this is and not to get into the whole thing. What I thought about it this morning. The way that I look at the new trilogy is I think that they're fun movies, but they, to me, remind me of legend novels. Like, it's like when the novels were coming out, there's some really good Legends novels that tie into everything that they connect some way to the old trilogy, but it doesn't really connect all the way through. And that's the way that after all 3 of those movies came out, to me, they seem like some of the fiction novels that came out back then. This Mandalorian seems like it connects into the overall trilogy. It's just my personal thoughts on it. And the reason why is because the development of character and story, you have more time inside of this medium. I'm so happy that I want to phrase this the right way. That the way that they looked at Obi-Wan after Solo was a disappointment. They took it away from them. I disagree with them that it wouldn't have done well. I think it would have done well financially. But I think it's Obi-Wan is a much better place to put on TV because you give an actor like Ewan McGregor this time to develop this character we love already in 8 episodes, and now I know I got Deborah Chow for all 8 of them. Come on, no,
she's directing all 8,
all 8, and I'm like, or 6 or 8, whatever it is. And to me, I'm going. If someone said, and I said this, and I stand by it. People were saying for me that I was crazy for saying it. I said if I could either take The Mandalorian season 1 or episode 9 to watch, which one would I take? I said I'm taking Mandalorian all day, and I stand by it. And
I don't disagree with that.
And that was before the movie came out, though. I was saying like 6 months ago. And I still say it. Same thing. If someone says you're never going to get a Star Wars movie ever again, but you get Obi-Wan, like that series, or you push Obi-Wan to the side and get another movie. Don't give me another movie. I think the TV is the way that Star Wars gets better and better and better.
I think you know what's interesting about this? There's a lot of what ifs, but if you take out social media and if you take out the fact that TV genuinely is evolved into a superior media, not better than movies, but at the same level at this point.
Storytelling, it is a superior medium. You're not wrong.
Well, it depends. You can do a concise. It really depends because you can do a concise movie that like does the same level of storytelling in an hour and a half, 2 hours that you're watching a movie.
Depends on the story. You're right.
It depends. But in this case, I think that they are 100 where it used to be a downgrade to go to TV. Right. This was the proof that they are on equal footing
because it was network television that had to deal with sponsorships and commercials and all this stuff, and there was families that had to watch and things that were happening on network television that you weren't allowed to do, that it would dilute the product. That doesn't happen in streaming anymore. And when you have these streaming networks, and all the way back in like 99 with The Sopranos and all these
The Wire,
all these shows that came out, and it was like that's when HBO was making those shows, and these other like in streaming service with Netflix, put out their shows, and you started to see the kind of budgets that they put together. Because I still believe when you have $120 million budget for whatever it was for the entire season, right? You get more graphic or effects like we got in this show, as opposed to putting $300 million in and overdoing it. And it just becomes like, we have all this money, let's put it in here and make this creature. No, don't make a creature, just make a story. Right. And the story evolves so much better in the medium of television overall. So I think that there are certain movies like the Marvel movies that I think can continue in the big budget theater. And Star Wars won't stop making movies. It'll make movies. It's going to make money. I just don't care if I see one in the theater.
But you know what I would appreciate? And I really hope that they do this at one point. I know that we keep upgrading our home technology. I hope that at some point Disney does find a way to release Mandalorian Season 1 in a theater. And like maybe do it where you do episodes 1 through 3 for like a 1 month and then do episodes 5 through 8.
We can watch my episode, Mando.
I think that would be great because I feel like you get a lot of good action with TV, but I feel like there are some things that really do need to have that big screen effect, and I think Mandalorian would be perfect for it.
I agree.
Yeah, and even for me, like even when I'm playing like Jedi Fallen Order, I think to like Spider-Man, right? Like Spider-Man's my favorite character. I don't necessarily love the Tom Holland movies, but then like I get my Spider-Man fix through the video games, through like Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah. Like I'd be interested to see them do like a Star Wars like animated film or something like that too. Just play with the different mediums that you could
and because their animated stuff has been so good, the only problem they have right now, not that there are great animated people out there, but their main animation guy is Filoni, right? So he's tied up at the moment. I love that his hand is involved in the television.
Call Bruce Timm. Is he still alive?
Yeah. Or just call, we're talking about Disney, call Pixar. If Pixar got behind, the people at Pixar are huge Star Wars
to make
fans.
it. Yeah, I get nervous with that though too, because this is going to be a very interesting time with Star Wars over the next year and a half, because there's going to be shakeups, there's going to be changes, there's going to leadership changes and all these things. There's going to be changes, and there's going to be creative changes overall. You cannot, and you look at what Bob Iger has done. You cannot imagine that Bob Iger doesn't go, well, wait a minute, why is this thing here getting the kind of support and love we want from the fan base, but this particular one is not? There's one way to say there's negativity and badness and this and that's a definite. But there's also something to be said about people who are creatively constructing. There are people who love Last Jedi. There are people who love Rise of Skywalker. But it's split all the way around the board. And like I said, the movies are fine. They're there. They're whatever. But the main thing is that it just feels like a completely different thing. I don't think it feels like it tied up the 9 movies at all. It's a complete. It's a wrap of this trilogy. It's not a wrap of the previous 6 at all. It happens to have certain characters and themes, but it's separate.
I think the problem is that and that was the issue. I think that Disney with those movies were so hell bent on playing off the nostalgia factor and getting your dollars. So creating a BB-8, creating the Porgs, creating Dio, like all these things that it really was like we're tapping into that instead of just worrying about the story.
Right.
And that's why The Mandalorian did well. Sure, Baby Yoda is probably gonna be the hottest selling thing all of 2020. Let's be real about that. But it served a purpose. It wasn't just and now Porg dolls. Like so your kids will be in love with it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's part of the problem. Is that there was too much of that we're gonna make money off of this versus like
that's always a concern when you're making big budget IPs for sure. But it's like it's broken record shit. There wasn't a plan. There's a plan for Mandalorian. There's no plan for these.
But that was the success of Marvel, and that was the success of Mandalorian. Is that there was a plan. There were spin-off toys that came of it, but you can't let that be your main focus, and that's what it always felt like to me.
I don't think that. See, I don't know if I think that they know. The only reason I wouldn't say that the merchandising is because the merchandising went down significantly, even when the prequels came out. They still make their money from the merchandise, billions of dollars from it. It's just from the video games alone, which is merchandising.
Right.
But it's that they didn't know where it was going to go.
No, I understand that, but for example, not just merchandising, but again the nostalgia factor. I would have been much happier where if the main 4, so we're talking Han, Leia, Luke, and Lando, had kind of been treated in the same way that you saw characters in the prequel trilogy, where like, they're there,
right,
but they don't take as prominent of a role. I would have preferred cameos from them and then really focus on the story so then you don't feel like you're dragging whatever through it, because they did that so that we'd be like, Luke, which is why so many people got angry, because they were like, that's not my Luke, which is, what
it's
it
harder,
is. Like,
it was a harder, and that's another thing Mandalorian has going for it, is that we don't know any of these characters.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we haven't learned anything about them, and there's like not just nostalgia, but the lore, right? And it's like because, like you said, Winston, you have these preconceived notions of what you think is going to happen. Like you was talking to my brother about this. Like he just had this idea of what Luke would be, and a lot of fans did, and then it just never came to fruition. He was bummed out about it, and to him the movies just kind of faltered. But Mandalorian, we learn more about that character every episode.
Yeah.
And we learn more about like Cara Dune. Gina Carano, by the way, has to be noted. She's been awesome.
Oh, she's so
great.
fine. Oh my God, and she's so talented.
Yeah,
Good Lord,
so great.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting is I think the only thing, and I hope they just let it be. Just don't do this. But I think the only thing that might save any of this whatsoever, because I think part of the other issue with people with Luke is that there seemed like there's this massive time skip of like, cool, he's finally a Jedi Master, he's figured out to, oh my God, you hate humanity. If we got similar to an Obi-Wan series of like a Luke series, like I would buy him. I always bought him being a hermit from the standpoint of we all have ups and downs in life. But I think that's the issue, is that we went from he's a badass to he's psycho.
But what's in between? Yeah, but the problem with that though is the same problem you run in with the prequels. Yeah. I mean, the new trilogy with lore, because the difference with Obi-Wan, you still have the guy who played him in the prequels to tie it all together, and you say, oh, that's Ewan McGregor. That's the guy.
Yeah. Mark can't do it.
I don't want to de-age Mark Hamill.
No, I don't either.
Irishman him.
I don't either. Well, no, I completely agree with you.
Now, Sebastian Stan is what people are talking about, but that's tricky. Sebastian Stan, who, by the way, and he doesn't have to, but doesn't know a damn thing about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like they gave him an interview with certain things he was asking me. You could tell. I don't need him. I don't need him to know. Bill Burr didn't know shit about Star Wars. I thought he was great. I don't need him to know about Star Wars, but I'm just saying it's just a risk to do a young Luke. I
agree. It's a huge risk, but I think that in a lot of ways would also help people calm down about it, because like I again did not have a problem with where he was, but I see people's concern of like, this is a jump that I'm not cool with. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Are you concerned at all because Obi-Wan is known and there is lore? Like, because with the Mandalorian, we didn't have anything. Are you concerned that there's going to be then this whole thing? Well, that's not what.
Maybe so, because I'm convinced. I think Vader will be in it. Yeah. There are tons of people on the opposite side of that who don't think he should be in it. They think it could contradict, and that.
Hey Mando, help me join the guild, Mando. Haha, I've got the baby Yoda, Mando. Oh no, now I'm dead.
Now we've learned anytime I try to join the conversation,
nobody
the
wants
SCHMOEBOT
it. No.
comes on.
No.
No.
It's a good. It's a good question because it's. This is why I get excited that Chow is involved.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Filoni and Favreau are producers on this show. I don't know. They're not the showrunners. The show, I don't know. Remember who the showrunner is because the showrunner. Can we look that up? Who the showrunner is for Obi-Wan? Because the showrunner for Cassian, the Cassian show, is the same showrunner for the Americans.
And then what? Filoni was the showrunner of this, or was
Filoni and Favreau were
they
the executive
Yeah.
producers. Yeah. So
Okay.
I think they were. I think that they were co-showrunners.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know who it is. But anyway, so that's kind of where we're at with the Mandalorian, and like I said, I'm going to do a full-on spoiler review in
Just
a little
finished
bit.
watching the Mandalorian season finale. If there's one thing Lucasfilm has done great is television. From Clone Wars to Rebels, Resistance, The Mandalorian, and soon Obi-Wan, they're miles ahead of the films in excellence.
But this is also why, and this is why I think Filoni and Favreau should, or Filoni for sure, should take the reins in all things television because he's worked in television. He's a television producer. He's what he's done. Kathleen Kennedy gets credit for being part of it. She's the head. Whatever she does, she's going to get credit for because she's the head. But she's not as involved in television as she is in film. People don't understand that. But
I wish that someone would tell that to Jerry Jones, because if he would actually just be like, "Look, I own the team," and let everybody else hire the right people.
And that's when you get into problems when things like that happen. It's like he
wants his hand in everything to say he did it, and that's the problem.
And you don't need to, because you'll get the credit if you hire the person. This is the same. This is a great comparison because it's the same thing. It's like, because look at what has happened in TV. She has put two people in charge over there that have done it right and hired the right people. She signs off on it, says, "Okay, yeah, I like those choices. Go for it." And she gets the credit off of it. This is why I also don't. I think if I'm her, I don't want to be involved in this anymore. I think I'm good. This movie's going to make, it's already made $500 million, whatever it's made. It's going to make probably 700, 800 total.
You don't think it's going to break $1 billion?
Get close, but if it does, it does. But it's still. I
think that's a huge statement, though, if it doesn't, because if the fact that I know Solo didn't, but didn't Rogue One? So
everything
every movie,
made $1 billion except Solo.
Yeah. So I think that's a huge statement.
It would be something. I mean, 'cause I think that people we're tired of it, and I think that it's because people are tired of Star Wars. Well, not necessarily, because this is one of the most watched shows on television right now is The Mandalorian. So they're not tired of Star Wars. They're tired of certain ideals and things, and they're exhausted by conversation. The casual fans are seeing Episode 9, by the way. The casual fans are loving Episode 9. Casual fans.
Exactly.
And that's what the movies are supposed to do as far as box office goes.
Right.
But as far as consistently keeping together all the lore and everything too, I think you stay away from the movies for a while and you just tell your stories through television.
Well, that's the only thing that worries me about the MCU, as far as like, we're going to leave the X-Men alone for like 5-6 years. Like, nah, bitch, fix it now. I want it in like a year or two. Like, bring it now.
Yeah.
But
the guy who is doing the Obi-Wan series,
Yeah.
I can't pronounce his name, but it's on screen. I don't know if anybody could.
Hossein Amini.
Hossein Amini. So he did.
He's writing it though, isn't he?
He is. Yeah.
He's writing, but he's not show running.
Well, that's all the information.
Okay.
For show running season 1.
Can you that's what you typed in? You typed in
yeah,
show running?
showrunner. Yeah. So
Okay.
what he's an Oscar winner, Oscar nominee, and he's written for the Emmy nominated show The Alienist.
Okay.
So he has a lot of good stuff on his. Also wrote Drive. So there's a lot of good stuff.
Oh wow, I love Drive.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Thanks a lot, Manda. All right, I want to get to some more of these questions here. Joe the Giant put in. Mandalorian is my third favorite TV episode, but Twilight of the Apprentice and Twin Sons from Rebels. He brought that up there. And is there more hype on season 2? I can't wait for season 2 now. Now the question is, because they've started shooting already. Do we just think they released it the same? Because they released the first one and it was November of this year. Mm-hmm. Is it November of next year, you think, or do you think they bring it out a little early?
No, they go early.
You think so?
I think they release it before the summer.
You think so?
I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, because in the same way that because when does Obi-Wan drop?
we don't know yet. I don't think Obi-Wan's going to drop until 2021.
See, I think Obi-Wan probably drops November. I think they release season 2 of this in like June.
Yeah,
or
I
July.
can't wait till November.
But it's usually a year. I mean, Stranger Things is a year. Like everything's a year.
But I think it depends because it's if they're already on top of it like that,
Yeah.
it's
Shooting.
very possible that they would get this. I don't want them to rush it, so I would rather they give us the same product in
Yeah.
November. But I think, especially because Disney Plus needs to have its flagship. None of the other shows they've released have really hit like that. I mean, I know,
and they don't have any Star Wars movies coming out either.
right. So I know High School, the musical, the series, whatever it is doing decently well. But like for that particular fan base, but there is no flagship show now that will run there. So
But that's why I think it's a year, because like your flagship shows normally every year.
So then
This Is Us, like they're all there.
No. I get it, but I know streaming is always a little different. So like I would.
Is it? Which shows? I mean, look at the Netflix shows. I mean, Stranger Things usually a year, sometimes a year and a half. You got
well, the difference with Netflix is that they have literally so much stuff coming out that you can't
differentiate.
But the hit shows though normally are about a year ahead of each other. It's very rare that you get them within. The only reason why is because, like you said, I mean, we don't know yet. All they said at D23 was that Obi-Wan was going to start shooting in the beginning of the year in 2020. Now, Mandalorian started shooting at the beginning of this year, and it was done and ready to go, and they wrapped the whole damn thing, right? So it's possible that they could do that. I just think that they're going to go, because they don't have any time in between for any movie. There's no movies coming out. So what I would think, their movies will be their TV series. So I think we're going to get...
Oh, we have all the Marvel shows. I forgot.
That's what I mean.
When do those drop?
Marvel's coming out like February and March.
Okay, well then never mind.
There's tons of Marvel
Then
shit.
I'll take that back.
Yeah.
Because I
And
genuinely...
Clone Wars comes out in February too.
Okay, and that was my concern. I was like, if they do not have something to like hang their hat on, they're in serious trouble. So I thought maybe they would do that.
There's the Loki series, right? Doesn't that come out? That comes out next year.
WandaVision.
WandaVision comes out next
Falcon
year.
and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah. So the Marvel series coming out. So I think that they're going to concentrate on the Marvel series and Clone Wars. Mandalorian comes out in November of next year. Then we get Obi-Wan in like February, March. Maybe we get Cassian.
Well, okay, so for the Marvel shows,
February, March of 2021.
the Marvel shows don't start dropping until late 2020. So Falcon and Winter Soldier drops late 2020. The WandaVision drops early 2021, and then Loki drops early 2021.
Oh shoot!
So that they need something.
Jeez, I might drop before 2020.
I know.
I need these
Seriously.
things to come out faster.
Damn, that's crazy. All right, let's get to Darth Epstein. How easy would it be to take Dagnino to see Cats rather than go to the strip club? I don't know if he's a strip club guy, but
Dagnino seems like a strip club guy.
you got to spend money at strip clubs.
And if he is, he's the guy that doesn't and takes one home.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
he's got. The,
No, he's not the other Adam. I'll just say Adam. So my buddy Adam is the only person I've ever seen go to Vegas, and this is a true story. He went to Vegas, and when you go to Vegas and you sit in the hotels, you know the escorts will come up to you and sit down. And this motherfucker he took an escort home, and she's like, no charge.
Bro, that's fire. That's fire.
I don't know how he did it.
But
it's like fucking Gandalf.
Well, I have my own story about that, which is hilarious.
I wouldn't tell this story right now.
No. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's not about me. She knows the story. It's not about me. So I went to Vegas with my dad and my older brother, right? And so the first thing we did was he wanted to, like, let's go get a steak dinner. So me and my brother feel bad. We're like ordering like $100 steaks. We feel like shit. My dad's like, I'll get the Kobe. And so the chef comes out and he's like, oh, it's this beef from whatever. It's blah, blah, blah. And we were like, well, that was really nice. The head chef came out. So we eat the meal. Greatest thing ever. Let us try it. All that kind of stuff. He gets the bill. Tell me why this shit is $1,800. And he goes, what market were you shopping at? Because it listed market price on the thing.
That's why it came out.
And so that's exactly why it came out. So then afterwards, like my dad, my brother and I are like, let's go play blackjack. And my dad's like, I got another plan. He went full Lando mode. So he goes over, sees this girl playing penny slots. So he sits down next to her. And I was like, bro, you understand that dad doesn't know what's going on. He's like, what are you talking about? See how she's dressed. She's playing penny slots. It's an escort. Watch what happens. He comes back and he goes, I was talking to that young lady. And I was just like, yeah, so what are you doing tonight? She's like, oh, I'm looking for a little fun. He goes, all right, well, let's do it. What would it take to get your attention? She goes, $1,500. And he was like, what are you talking about?
Did you buy the steak?
And he came over. He goes, that young lady was an escort. I hate this town. Food is mad expensive. I can't holler at women. We need to leave.
It's really funny. Yeah, no, it's a whole thing. Okay, so we get into ZCM Zombie Custom Maps. Will you guys ever get around to watching the first seasons of The Witcher? I wonder if Brett could give a drunk review of it along with Gary Busey. All right, fine.
Oh,
so,
Jesus.
I'm here with Mr. Brett Sheridan. Today we have watched a show with Superman himself, Nicolas Cage, called The Washer.
No, it's no Witcher.
There is about my watch.
No, he's a witch. He's.
I believe that this particular man was out there by a fire making a camp for his people.
They say Witcher 4,000 times in every episode, and you think it's the Washer?
I was washing my pants when I was watching the episode, so maybe that could have been it.
Well, I will say one thing about this show.
Okay.
It's a sleeping pill.
You not like this episode.
I do not, and it keeps me from having intercourse.
thank you so much, Drunk Brett and Gary Busey.
I love how you're still hung up on the fact
I am hung. I showed my mom the little one they clipped out. Or my mom. Yeah. Oh my God, Oedipus complex. My wife.
My wife.
Same thing. Douglas Johnson. Are you guys a fan of Whose Line Is It Anyways? Been on a kick of watching old clips of the British and Drew Carey version. Yeah, they're pretty awesome. They were a lot of fun back in the day. Yeah, for sure.
Spoiler alert: Wayne Brady's the shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Borb Goober.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, thank you.
Borb Goober. Garbage. Forgot to shout out Cast Iron Brett yesterday and still feel bad about it. Thank you for Collider Live's greatest moment was Suck My Put. And Winston, drip. Knapsacks ponytails back in the house. This is a question for Bonnie, but since she's not around, I'd like you gentlemen to answer it. Fuck, marry, kill Ross Geller, Sandy Cohen, or Ben Goddard. Well, we'll let Brett answer.
I know.
Drunk Brett can answer. You got to fuck, marry, kill Ross, Sandy Cohen, or Ben
Who's
Goddard.
Sandy Cohen? Is that OC?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I always go just 3 Fs, man. I never.
Perfect.
We don't need to kill people.
It's okay. It was only
Look,
$1.
you clearly marry Ben Goddard because he can provide plenty of bagels.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
You got to marry him.
You never go hungry.
Yeah.
It's always sunny in Philly. Hey guys, about 2 weeks ago they released the first trailer for the Impractical Jokers movie. Did anyone see it? And if so, thoughts? No, but I want to see it. Personally, I love the show and think it's genius what they get the public to take part in it without really offending people. Yeah, no, they remind me of everybody I went to high school with, those guys, right? And I actually had a chance to interview all of them for Fandango Comic-Con a couple years back, and they're the nicest guys. They're funny as hell. They're good dudes, and I root for them because they do remind me of home when I watch them. So I did not see the movie trailer, but I would love to see it. So I'm glad they're doing a movie. You root for good people, so I'm rooting for them. Silly Buffoon. Oh. Well, first of all, the brain machine put in a SCHMOEBOT. So, and then the Silly Buffoon says, Kristian, could you please bring Roxy on backstage? I think she's such a good manager. She would have a great strategy for the draft. Also, I would love if she could recreate the slap because you forgot to put her in the manager order. No, yeah, no. I don't think she's the one that should recreate the slap. I think he is. Winston is. He's the one.
Just because she wasn't included, she would have got picks. Fuck that.
Yeah. She still. It actually benefited her.
Didn't she get like second or some shit?
Second or third. Yeah.
Some bullshit.
So yeah, that's.
As far as backstage, here we go again.
As far as backstage goes, yes, I would love to have Roxy on. I think that'll probably happen sooner than later. Bruce Leroy, prank phone calls are dictated by state laws on parties' consent. California is a 2-party consent. Nebraska is a 1-party state. In a 1-party state, the pranker doesn't need the consent of the pranked person. 2-party states need both before airing it. Look at that. So then we can't do it.
We're called Nebraska.
Yeah, is this dude a lawyer?
Maybe. Andrew DeMolanta. He was going in the draft. We seriously need an SEN cooking show with Brett. Have a happy new year, everyone. I would do that. I would do a cooking show.
I'd love to do that.
For sure. It'd be good. Bruce Leroy. Runses are the best. Brett is referring to deglazing. It is when you add wine or liquid and scrape up the brown bits. The brown bits are called fond. So, yeah. And then Call to Action had the fonds. Shug 9323. Kristian, you said that you don't have time to watch sports. I mean, you don't really need to watch the Giants to see how bad they are. You're not wrong. Winston, who's going to be the new Cowboys coach?
I cannot remember the name of the guy, but there's a young dude that is apparently very similar to McVay, where he's like killing it, and I think he coaches Oklahoma.
Yeah,
and they're talking about trying to get like potentially Jerry Jones would throw money at him to try and get him to come. But the issue is, honestly, if Jerry does not find the ability to let someone just run the fucking team, it doesn't matter who he fucking hires, because he always wants someone he can control.
yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's one of those things where like. You ever had? Well, you like both of your kids, but if you ever, but like you probably like all your kids too.
Yeah.
But you know, like some parents are like, I mean, I love them because I have to, because they're my ilk. But
Right.
like,
They're
little
little
bastards.
assholes. Yeah.
That's how I feel about the Cowboys at this point.
Yeah,
I
I
love
get
them
it.
because I have to,
Yeah,
but
so your family, but the
SCHMOEBOT here
that's
would
right.
like to thank the Mando for killing the most annoying Star Wars character since Jar Jar. If I had to hear him say "Hey Mando" one more time, I would have had no choice but to activate my manufacturer protocol.
nice. Hey Mando. Funky Cole Medina put in a SCHMOEBOT, so Ken Reels and Call to Action. Villanelle, Kristian, is Mark Ellis either one of your daughter's godfather? Also, the little one is your twin. Yeah, the poor girl, she really is. But no, he is not. Mark Riley is the godfather to my oldest, and
you've known both of them for a while, haven't you?
Riley, Sheridan I know the longest. Known him since I moved to L.A. Riley not too far after that. Ellis probably in 2004, 2003, 2004 is when I met Ellis. But no, he's not. And and then David Gambino, who is also one of the other ones. But it's also because Mark's not very. Both my kids were baptized and everything too, so that Mark's not religious. I don't know if that's true. He might be.
Wow.
Yeah. Piz. The Rise of Skywalker is doing well at the box office despite supposed toxicity. Why not make an episode 10? It's clear, still healthy paying audiences and no fatigue. Or Disney Plus tie-ins that lead to an epic Avengers assembly with episode 10 and Rey, Poe, Finn, and Baby Yoda. You stay away from it because it's like it just doesn't have the excitement, and I think the fun for a lot of it is just been kind of sucked out of it. So it's like I think Bob Iger was correct when the films need a bit of a break. I just think that from the plan that was executed was the wrong one. I think they did it poorly, and I think they're understanding that, and I think they're gonna hold back. And then when people start clamoring for another Star Wars movie, that's when they're gonna start putting it into play. And I think by the time the next one comes out, there'll be new leadership running Lucasfilm at that time.
I just hope that they just stay away from the Skywalkers and the Palpatines and all that. Like, I really do hope that. I was debating whether or not I would want a KOTOR show or a KOTOR movie. I'd like trilogy. I would probably prefer a movie trilogy, just in the sense that
Think about how layered that game is.
I know.
Game is so layered.
But you have shows that go
get,
along with it. But if I had to choose between the two, I would start with a movie series. And
you could turn that whole entire video game into like a 6-season show.
I agree.
And with all those characters and side missions and all these different things that you could get, even with the gladiator part where you have to fight in order to win money to become one of the top, you could do a whole arc on that. That could be like 4 episodes of a show.
That's true.
This is what I'm saying. That I think that people are they're just so used to. People don't like change.
No, I know. No. Remember, I just said that I feel TV and movies are on the same level as far as so it's not that. I think it's. What I was thinking, if you're going the full realm of things, I can totally see like an HK and who would be like a funny partner to put him with out of the group.
Well, the whole crew that he runs with.
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying a side series?
Yeah,
but it's harder to do side series with those because they haven't been established except to the hardcore audience.
But that's why I'm saying you start with a movie that follows Revan and just that whole sequence, and then you can like.
We're never gonna do that show. We're wasting our breath. We're wasting our breath. They're never gonna look at it. They're never gonna do that shit. Not right now, anyway.
I just want to replay the game. I'm very upset. I have nothing
too.
to play it on.
I want to see them reboot the game. Joe the Giant. what are you guys more excited for? Mandalorian Season 2, Clone Wars Season 7, Cassian Andor prequel, or Obi-Wan? To me, it's far and away Mandalorian Season 2. Hard not to take Mandalorian Season 2 because we already have a lock to Season 1. I want to see where the series goes. And because I don't have any ideas or thoughts as far as what has to happen inside of the lore. As like where I think about Obi-Wan, which I'm probably my number 2, I say... okay, I think that the Vader stuff needs to happen because there were too many holes that were left in the prequels that weren't explained. People disagree with me. But
did they say if this is supposed to take place after Revenge of the Sith, or is it supposed to happen during the Clone Wars?
It takes place after Sith. I think it's like 3 or 4 years after Sith, I think. It's definitely after Sith, but it's like 3 or 4 years. I just don't know how. So he's already on Tatooine, and it's the adventures that he's having on Tatooine during that time. I just happen to think that we're going to learn more about that that Obi-Wan once thought as you did in Return of the Jedi. That scene, that was the one thing that I said that's where you can use him, and he's more machine now, a man. And I know that he twisted and evil. I know that he saw him on Episode 4, and that was. But I think he already knew at that point he was far gone. At what point he just gave up on him that quick? You know, he burnt him. He burnt up in lava. Thought he was dead.
He murdered younglings, man.
But I don't want to get to the new trilogy, but apparently that doesn't mean shit anymore because you can just anyway. Anyway, but my point is that you go in that particular storyline, through line with Obi-Wan and Vader. At what point did he say, "Okay, I'm going to protect your son. I'm going to watch over your son"? And he just said, because even in the comics. He's going to try to get him back. I just think he's going to try to get him back. But, you know, and some people want to see Maul come back. With Filoni being involved, there's no chance that happens.
How come?
Because it's connected. So you got to give you a spoiler for Rebels.
Okay.
In Rebels, Maul is looking for Obi-Wan. He's trying to find Obi-Wan, and he finally does through connecting with Ezra. He's been on this. He's been maddened about trying to find him since everything that happens in Clone Wars.
Because he lost that duel?
No. He after the duel, he comes back and there's this big arc in Clone Wars. He's running the Mandalorians. He does all this stuff with and Obi-Wan and him. They just got beef, like serious beef.
Yeah.
And he wants to find him. And so after Kenobi goes out on the run, he needs to figure out where is this motherfucker because I'm going to find him and I got to kill him. And he needs Ezra to help him find out where he was. So he finally does, and he tracks him down. And he has a battle with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan kills that motherfucker in 2 seconds. Like, it's just a quick slash, but he dies in his arms. And that is all canon. You can't start retconning stuff.
Agreed. You don't, but also from the standpoint of, like, what's going to happen? Darth Maul going to find him and kill him? Clearly not, because Obi-Wan is in Episode 4, so that's not...
Right. I don't think that's gonna happen. I want to learn more about what, and I think that there's a time that you can actually use Vader. You haven't used Vader in TV yet. Use them in Rogue One. And he popped. They're not overusing him. They used him in Rebels. I thought, well, they didn't overuse him in Rebels, and I think they'll use him in the Obi-Wan.
They're overusing the Death Star for sure.
They're definitely overusing the Death Star for sure. But I don't think they're gonna do that. Okay, let's see. Let's get to Blade Hawk. Kristian and crew, thank you for SEN and all the laughs. Mandalorian Chapter 8 was so great. Couldn't agree with you, and thank you, Blade. Really appreciate all the support. Joseph Sorty put in a SCHMOEBOT, so did T-Sim, the great T-Sim. Thank you so much. And then B. Arthur can get it. Thank you, B. Arthur. Just dropping by to say I hope everyone had a golden holiday with friends and family and feisty old ladies. Thank you, B. Arthur. It's a great gimmick. Brett's my hero. Mine too. I really got the feeling that Finn's story was being set up to continue as a Disney Plus series. What do you think of the chances of that happening? Also, who in the new trilogy would you like to see head up a Disney Plus series? This is going to come off like I'm really not like a fan of these movies, and it's not the case. I just want them to be done with. I don't really want to see any of these characters get a series. I don't think it's necessary.
Random question, because I, again, haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels. Do they go into explanations about the various saber colors at all?
I always get mixed up because I know that they have in the comics. I know they have in video games in the past. I don't necessarily know. There's a training episode when younglings go in the Clone Wars. I don't know if they necessarily explain the saber stuff. I don't know.
The only reason why I asked is because I felt like that was the one thing, without getting too spoiler or anything like that with the Rise of Skywalker. I appreciated it. Seemed like a nod to KOTOR actually, near the end. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I was just curious about that randomly since we were just talking about.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I hope that they do, and going off what you're just saying about Knights of the Republic, I think they can do something in the Republic in general, because Benioff and Weiss were supposed to do like the formation, how the Jedi began. I think you can still explore that inside of what happened.
RB3 keeps having that 3 shot when you guys are going off, and I'm just like, I almost turned around and started playing the fucking game, man. It's like my parents just talking politics or something. I'm like,
you're at the table. I can't believe that Bill Clinton got impeached.
Oh man! All right,
well, pass the salt.
All right, we'll move to something else. Okay, we'll move to something else.
It's fine.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Used Car Jesse says the approximate 8 hours of sequel trilogy versus the approximate 5 hours of Mando. Does it not feel like we're getting more character development, action, and love in Mando and lore in Mando? Less is more with done properly. You're speaking my language. It's exactly right. You're getting way more in the 5 hours of Mando as far as character development, and it's because there's less money. There's less money. When you put more money into it, you feel like everything needs to be
do something.
You feel it needs to be a spectacle. It doesn't. It's the same. I always throw back when this conversation comes in of the problem that happened with Terminator, the new Terminator. Too big. Should have gone back to what it was in the beginning. You would have thrown everybody for a loop. If you would have went to the budget that Joker had, you'd thrown everybody for a loop and come back like it almost looks like a low budget horror film, and that's what the next Terminator would be. That's how you make more money. That's how you get more people in there the people. That franchise is dead now because of it was just done the same way that it's been done.
And that's what I appreciated about Infinity War and Endgame is like you still had those massive budgets, but you treated it like you didn't. Like you had the moments, you had the big battles. Yes. Obviously, you're going to pour into that, but you have the moments with Tony talking to his dad.
Well, they had the benefit also. They ran their entire movie series like a television show.
Right.
So everything that's been connected so far, they've been building it up throughout these 20 some odd movies. Yeah. Right. So they had the ability to do that and close out at the very end. Thank you for saying yes.
No, I agree that it wasn't like you were trying to just do a continuation of the same thing. It was bouncing around and it kept you interested in it, and then you go, oh, then this ties in with this.
You're connected.
Yeah,
you're connected. It's like you felt like you're watching an episode of a show every single time. Right. So, and that was not the case in these last 3 movies with Star Wars. Even though they have familiar characters and familiar things, it wasn't okay. Well, this will connect kind of like this, and we'll kind of say this happens here, but we'll move that. Well, I don't like that, so we'll do that. It's a mess. Jay Boogie just watched Uncut Gems, and the last 30 minutes broke me. I don't want to give any spoilers here, so let me see. To see a guy who couldn't control his urges under circumstances is just hard to see. It's one of the more striking moments in movies this year for me. What moments in 2019 cinema hit you guys the hardest? Well, let me tell you that we're probably going to do a big episode on Monday about all of this. So let's save that particular conversation for Monday, because that'll be part of the overall ton of top 10 movies that we'll do. And I don't know if we're going to get to the top 10 stinkers, maybe we will, but we'll see. Mike Esk. All my fandom menace friends who passionately hated on Last Jedi loved are now claiming the Rise of Skywalker fixed all its mistakes. They've been throwing Kennedy under the bus for years, but refusing to give her any credit for this one. You mean as far as for the movie? Yeah, I mean it's one of those things that, you know, for some you look at Kathleen Kennedy, and I still stand by. I think she's a great producer. I just don't think she was. I don't think that her creative vision for Lucasfilm worked. I just don't think it worked. I think it was a misfire. And what people always and they say, well, do you love Mandalorian then too? Yes. I wish that she would have run Lucasfilm creative for film the same way she did for TV. She saw the vision in what Favreau and Filoni had. She let them do their thing. She hired because and also the thing that got me, and it bothered me when I was at the Rebels. I went to the Rebels premiere, the Rebels finale premiere that they did. Right, she was nowhere to be found. It's like, how are you not there for that? Because she movies is her thing.
Right.
She's a film producer.
Right.
But she runs Lucasfilm.
Right.
You're not just a film producer.
Right.
You run all of Lucasfilm. I couldn't believe she was not there. it was because you didn't care about animation as much. Just you know, in interviews and everything too, it'll be like, oh, of course, I love, and she does love Dave Filoni, of course she does, but she doesn't care about it as much. You know, she's a film producer. I think that she's going to go on and make films somewhere else, but I think that, but if you like Rise of Skywalker a lot and you think that it's done you didn't like Last Jedi, you can't look past what she did as a producer because she produced the movie. So I don't know. It's a tricky thing. Joseph Sorty, SCHMOEBOT here. Oh, he put in the thank you, Joseph. Jay Boogie, Kristian, much respect to you. I love a family man, and watching you with your kids the other day was the best. Also, I respect that you put your family first. Always. P.S. Kristen Stewart wants to know why she isn't in Best Actor conversation for the Oscars this year, RB3.
Yeah, she's had a lot of good performances this year, particularly she's doing a movie, Sebring. It's about a French New Wave director, very popular. So, yeah,
I just started watching the replay and heard Winston's comment about you're getting old when you get excited about getting a vacuum. I'm 36 and got a Roomba for Christmas this year and was so hyped for it.
Yeah.
Bro, I was saving
I couldn't agree more. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Can you bring it over here? This floor needs it.
No, that's what I'm saving up for right now is to like when once I move out to my own spot, I want a Roomba. I do not want to have to vacuum anymore.
Well, thank you. It's always sunny. All right, that's the last of the STREAMLABS.com. I'm going to go to Super Chat real quick, and then we'll close it out here for today because I want to make sure we get everybody on here. This is from Danny Orsa. Now that Mando Season 1 is wrapped, I really loved it. Started to finish, and very glad there were no corny tie-ins to the new trilogy. Love you, Schlong Boys. I think that there will be tie-ins to it eventually, and I almost would be okay if they went like almost like an alternative, like they said, like this is like almost what they're doing with Loki. I wish that they could do that and say, well, this is where we're.
What a time stone.
Yeah, I know. So they're not. That's the only time I would want Marvel in where they say, like, actually, you know what? This doesn't connect to the new trilogy. This is where it actually is going to go. This connects to 1 through 6, and here we go. And then 7, 8, and 9 are their own separate galaxy. But that's not going to be the case. They're going to tie into it some way or another, and they'll probably figure out a way, hopefully, to explain some shit that would happen in 9, where I'm still like, wait, how? What? There's something. I want to make one spoiler comment because I haven't made. So
about the movie
about
the
episode 9.
Okay.
I have to make one, and then I'm going to ask you if you haven't seen episode 9, please fast forward or come back, and it'll be in this timestamps. Come back in like 2 or 3 minutes because I have a question.
Okay.
I had said for a long time that I knew Palpatine was going to come back.
Sure.
I said I thought it would come back because it would make sense if they tied it in from 1 through 6. That about Plagueis and the understanding on how he did it, how he tapped into it. We're going to get an explanation of how he finally did it. Instead, Dominic Monaghan, who I love, they say, how did he come back? Sith dark magic cloning Sith powers. It's like, what?
Well, okay.
And then he's like, some consider it to be a natural. He just took the line from the episode 3 and dumped it over. How did he fucking come back?
Well, okay. So here's the funny thing that I was going to talk about on Monday on Twitter, and I got distracted and just didn't care as much. But anybody that's ever read Naruto before, this is the exact storyline that is used for the main big bad in that, where he gets his ass whooped by somebody, goes underground, is attached to like this life force, like ninjutsu shit, can't leave, gets a proxy to go help him out by manipulating him, so you're Kylo. And then ultimately when he's like, I don't need you anymore, throws him to the side and is like, and now I rule. It's the exact same storyline.
But it just wasn't explained very
well.
well.
No, I understand that, but it was something that clicked into me that I was like, this is kind of upsetting because it almost feels like you ripped this directly from this anime, and at least they explained that.
There was a lot that wasn't explained. It's like, I made Snoke. He's in my lab.
No, but that's the same thing, and that's where I'm very curious if they were like, what do we do? What was popular? And Naruto's popular. What do they do? Oh, they just brought his ass back. Bring his ass back. That's what we're gonna do.
My gift last Friday from your Amazon wish list. Also, Gina Carano is better than Kirsten Stewart. I am kidding. Happy New Year, you schlong.
Disrespectful.
Yes, I did get the gifts, and I'm gonna send out thank you notes. I'm still need to figure it out, but
you got gifts?
Yeah, I jokingly put them up, and actually people
Jokingly. Oh shit.
People
put his
are
Amazon wish list on.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well,
That works?
I put practical stuff. I put like toilet paper.
Yeah.
The toilet seats I get in my apartment My son pisses them out, and all. I mean, like the wood part, they fall apart. So I got a toilet seat, and I got a very generous gift, a gift card from Amazon, and yeah, I mean, it's and I put like oh, and my wife got some a facial toner, like rose facial toner and stuff like that.
All right, let's move on because we have a couple of
let's get off that. We don't want anybody sending him.
No, please no. Fictitious Christ wasn't able to watch live yesterday, but I had to give a shout out to Brett for his fabulous Tara Reid impression. Kristian, hand $5 to Brett, please. I will. Arcarus Prime. Streamlabs bot has different voices and accents you can choose. Maybe that's why it sounded different before. I believe you have her on default. We're going to try to figure that out. Shit. All right, let's see. Maybe we can figure that out. Sean Baker. Check out Clone Wars Season 2, Episode 17, Bounty Hunters. There's a Razor Crest in the barn on Felucia. That's awesome. That's awesome. Dragon R3 Born. Filoni has powers in his cowboy hat. I agree. John Z. First scene was the worst from Chapter 8. The rest was great. Sure. But I think that once it gets past that scene, I don't think too many people are going to be... I think most people are on board.
You just have to understand Taika Waititi, man.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the whole thing. I would be curious if that same person who said that hated Ragnarok, because that's exactly what would happen. You would have moments like that scene, and then you would go into the more serious shit. Right. So,
Luke Allison, Mando told Carl Weathers is a creed. That's actually well done. Pablo Carbajal, does Disney have enough power to distributors to have the new trilogy debut on theaters and streaming simultaneously? They made nearly 40%. Off the U.S. box office in the first 9 months of 2019. Let
me answer this one. Disney has no power. They are
at all
practically broke at this point.
That's
right?
true. Yeah, there's no more series, there's no more movies, there's nothing. So let's see. Now we get to Trouser Snake, Jay Concho, Tenet, IMAX 8-minute trailer made me splooge buckets. It's disgusting.
Jesus.
And there you go. But 8 minutes, an 8-minute trailer.
Really?
That's
what if you go see Star Wars?
I don't know if it's Star Wars. I guess so.
It is Star Wars. Yeah.
Did you see it?
I didn't see it, but they do. Nolan did that for The Dark Knight Rises and for Interstellar.
8 minutes?
Yeah, for 8-minute trailer.
I missed it. What was the trailer for?
Tenet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I reviewed that one.
Yeah.
I did that one.
You did.
Yeah.
Darren Hall, I finally watched Sebastian Maniscalco's comedy special at 12 a.m. last night. I woke up the entire house because I couldn't stop laughing. Thank you for mentioning him on this show. Yeah, if you haven't watched Sebastian, you definitely should.
Is he on Netflix?
Yeah, he's got like a bunch of specials on Netflix. But you should watch some of the older ones first.
YouTube?
No, it's on. I think he's got like 4 or 5 on Netflix.
Oh, they're all on Netflix. Okay.
But you should watch the oldest one. If you're gonna watch them, watch the oldest one first.
Have you seen Berbeglia's? It's more of a one-man show kind of thing. It's really good.
Okay.
As a parent, it's quite funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
John Garland, chance of Hayden coming back as Vader and Obi-Wan. I don't know, because he's the one that is, well, I mean, you can put him in makeup, I guess, in the actual suit. It's possible. It's possible if you have him in the suit and they do like a moment in Rebels to where like half his face gets, the mask gets cut open and you see his face again. It's possible. It would be a nice little that'd be a nice little thing. Let's see. Now we have Frankie A. Loving the show, guys. Do you think Ahsoka will make an appearance in Obi-Wan, since they both have histories in Clone Wars and could team up against Vader if they used him in the series? Well,
you're goddamn right he will.
Well, they wouldn't. They wouldn't team up. Ahsoka wouldn't team up with because it's the first time she doesn't see him until it's way after that.
Oh, so, yeah, that's what I was.
So yeah, you I
forgot about that
thing. But showing up, possible. Scott Pleasants, can you give a quick explanation of well, there's something that, you know what, Scott, I'm going to answer this question that you put in the Streamlabs. I'm going to answer that, or excuse me, Super Chat. I'm going to answer that on the spoiler-heavy episode, because I'm going to get into it, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it
Just
yet.
Remember what it is, then tell me after off air.
Yeah, it's the thing that we talked about that you liked from this episode, and I said, well, that's actually from this.
Yeah.
Remember what I'm talking about?
Vaguely.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Okay, so let's see.
Yes.
Knapsacks Ponytail, last one here. Why do you think Favreau didn't direct an episode this season? Too much work to oversee and write the series that he didn't want to direct, or selfishly wanted to display the filmmakers like Chow, Filoni, and Taika while he was doing Lion King? That's
the explanation.
Yeah, he was doing Lion King. It was
that man works, bro.
Yeah, man. It was coming out in July. He's a producer on a lot of the shows.
And Far From Home. He was in Far From Home too.
Right. So he was busy. But he is doing Chapter 2. right, before we go, I do want to give a quick review of 1917. I saw it last night, and Sam Mendes, this is one of his best. It's one of the best jobs he's ever done. It is an incredible film. The score is great. Now, RB3 was nervous about like the gimmick of the one shot. I actually thought it seemed kind of it was seamless the way that it was just. It plays in the two actors, which I don't have their names obviously in front of me, but they both. There's another thing I was curious about. Here's two unknown actors that I don't really know yet. Can they win me over? They won me over in about 30 seconds from the second they have their first interaction. It is a human story. It's a great story. It is a story that Sam Mendes' grandfather told him that he then turned into a feature film. And it's a story about these soldiers who are called in by their commanding officer in 1917 in World War I, and they say, okay, we need to tell our squadron that the Germans are playing a big trick here. You think that they're retreating. They're not. They're setting you up. They got about 1,700 soldiers waiting for you on the other side. You have to go and deliver this message. So they have to go through enemy lines, just the two of them together to do it. It is it's one of the reasons because one of the soldiers, his brother, is on the other side, fighting inside of that wave. So not only is it a personal thing for him, they have to save the lives of all these soldiers going into battle. So they it's the adventure of watching it. And at first you go, oh, it's like Saving Private Ryan. Not really. It's similarity because you're trying to find one particular guy, kind of, but not really. And it's what happens in between. Does it seem like a superhero story with these one or two guys running? And it does not. It feels like two soldiers that are caught in the middle of this shit, and it's just done really, really well. I loved it. It's a near perfect movie for me, so I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 schmoes.
Wow, holy shit!
Yeah,
you know what? It almost sounds like a more realistic, like Rogue One, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely more. It's a smaller story than that, although obviously larger when you see. Right. I mean, even the way that it pans back when they're going through the trenches. It's because there's so much trench warfare, obviously, in World War One, and as you see, like as they're going through it, you just get claustrophobic. Like as you're going through this, and can only imagine what it was really like. You feel like you're back in that time, and that's the other thing is like even there's so many different locations through the trench, underneath the trench. It's you're following, and there are a couple times you go, oh well, that's where he made his cut to make it, because it seems like the whole movie is one shot, but you can see it a couple different times. But it's Deakins shot the film, and it's gorgeous. You can get lost in it. I really enjoyed the movie.
I was gonna go see Queen and Slim this weekend, maybe because it's about to be at the theaters. Maybe I'll go see 1917.
It's worth it, man. It's a great movie. So, all right, look, that's how we're gonna end the show. RB3. Thank you guys for joining us here today. Oh, there we go.
Here to an amazing 2020.
To you too. Thanks, Paul.
May it be full of money and sponsors and free of tongs and ball bags.
Well, the SCHMOEBOT took us out, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to Paul Denuzio for that one. Thank you guys for joining us here today. Check out Winston Marshall on Twitter. Same thing with Brett Sheridan, RB3. Check me out in just a little bit here. About 12:30, I'm going to try to get this thing going and get the spoiler review up of The Mandalorian. Please join me over there if you've watched the episode. And if not, we'll see you on Monday, everybody, for another SEN Live. Peace out, Mother F.